do, I gotta have it. I ain't even playing, got a really bad habit. If it moves, gotta grab it, fuse like a magnet. Lose, won't have it till I'm doomed in a casket. I ain't playing, got a weird mind. If you work 8 hours, I'ma work 9. If the shit tastes sour, you should taste mine. I'ma stay in power for a long time. Get up, nah, I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big picture, I'm a straight killer. Rising the song to the highest bidder. Got juice, got gas, I'ma move fast. New shoes, new tracks, like who's that? I'm new, come back, better than last. Yeah, it's a new me, never gonna look back. Never gonna look back. Cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast, and that's facts. Only I can make a change. Slowly take a step today. I will never be the same, cause that's what it takes.
Hey guys, welcome back. Mediocre, how you doing? Happy Friday, May 31st. I think I got that right.
Yes, you did. What's up, man? How you doing tonight?
We made it 5 months through this year so far. Where is the time fucking going, man? How am I doing? I'm still a little bit, I don't know if it's sick or allergies, a little bit under the weather. I mostly just laid low and conserved energy today, but we're going to power up right now with an IPA, Mediocre. Let's see if this, can do something to help me out. Cheers, brother. You got a drink?
Cheers.
All right. There you go. Tonight is going to be part 2 of what could be a very long multi-part series of us kind of going through some of the old GameStop DD. And I want to kind of reiterate to you guys, if you're tuning in, why are we doing this? Because first of all, he was a value investor, and I am also I'm also a value investor. Ask anybody in my Discord, ask Mediocre. I'm the most asshole person about getting a good entry that you probably have ever met. And I like my portfolio to be filled with mostly profitable companies, but I also enjoy speculating on the more gambling type plays, speculative meme stock plays with a smaller percentage of my portfolio, something where I'm not going to cry if I lose it because, these plays have risk. And look, there's been a bunch that we've played over the last 3 years since I started on YouTube, and GameStop for the last 18 months has just been something that I traded only, buy on the dips, sell on the moves up, $2, $3, $5 here and there. Just wait for the best entry on the chart, usually selling into a pre-earnings run up, wait for it to come back down, rinse and repeat. And someone would say, well, you must do that because you hate GameStop. Mediocre, do you think I hate GameStop?
No, we don't hate any stocks that makes us money.
I hate overpaying for something is what I really hate. And I think, the reason that I have not been buying and holding GameStop and averaging down is because my thesis has always been that the price was going to go down to some point where it ultimately reaches a fair value, similar to prior to the 2021 run up. Now, obviously there's moving parts and things change. GameStop's there's been a lot of changes. They, besides closing stores, they've also done a lot of work on cutting costs, and hats off, kudos to them for doing that. This is excellent work that they've been doing. And now with the recent cash raise, they've bolstered the balance sheet. And it becomes even now, or finally now, a much more interesting play for me to start spending some more time saying, where is now the new real fundamental value? Now, we know the professional analyst, Michael Pachter's got a $7 price target. And I had said at the beginning of this year, that GameStop would see $10 this year. And we already hit that. And now, though, they have an extra $1 billion of cash on the balance sheet, a bunch of excitement right now with the Roaring Kitty having come back a week or so ago. And people wondering, what's going to go on with potential future acquisitions. I think, there's a lot of sentiment bonus that you could add to what is a fundamental value. But that doesn't mean that I'm still willing to overpay. It just means that I need to do that much more work and pay that much closer attention to not buy in too high and then get rug pulled by the market. You know what I mean, mediocre?
Absolutely. Don't want to get rug pulled.
Yeah. I mean, I think it'd be exciting to figure out what is, we're never going to time the bottom perfectly. And I don't expect that I will. But if I can get a reasonable entry, because it's still a speculative play, they don't really have any meaningful profit. Yes, I know about Q4, but on an annual basis, for the predictions of this year, if nothing else changed, we're looking at 1 penny annual profits, maybe 2, maybe more. Maybe more if they invest some of that billion extra dollars that they got. We'll just have to see. I don't have all of the answers for you, but what I can tell you is I will be paying close attention to it and trying to watch all the moving pieces and get the best entry. And I think that after we get through this next earnings, which I think is what, June 11th, mediocre?
Yeah, it is.
Get through June 11th, and then a lot of people are looking at the June 20 options expiration. Those would be the kind of 2 new key dates that I'm looking for potential inflection points. And we'll just see. We'll see. In the meantime, if there's trading opportunities for day trades or option trading, then I will take advantage of those. And many people in our group, not secret group, just my friends that I talk to, people in the Discord, have been making thousands of dollars on selling cash secured puts for some of them and covered calls for others, depending if they own shares or not. We're a diverse population in
Absolutely.
the
Did you make
Discord.
this week?
This is no Kool-Aid, being shoved down your throat. Everybody has different viewpoints and different positions, and we just share the knowledge so that everybody together can, at the end of the day, at the end of each week, come out with the most profitable and most realistic take that they can. And in the meantime, if it moons, that's not really my thesis for GameStop. I want to be clear, but if it does, then some of us will get lucky, and some won't. It just depends on how we're positioned if that happens again. So I'm not going to be talking about short squeezes and things like that when I'm talking about GameStop. I'm going to be more what I've noticed. Can I just be honest, mediocre? As I've watched
What'd you notice, Tony? What'd you notice?
as I've watched the YouTubers covering GameStop for the last several years, they're definitely fans of GameStop, and hats off to them. It's great to love a company, but they don't do what I call the most honest financial analysis.
I mean, there's a lot of companies I love, right? Like I love Snap-on Tools. I think they make great tools, right? But I don't own shares in that company.
I'm just saying when there's people that fancy themselves financial analysts on YouTube, but they only talk about the things that support their narrative, and they definitely don't talk about the things that they don't want their audience to talk about or hear about. And we're going to talk about it all here. And if that makes them mad, well, too bad. Because value investing is looking at the entire balance sheet, the entire income statement, the entire cash flow statement, the strong points and the weak points, and having a discussion about them. And I'm not going to be giving you goofy earnings estimates or price targets. We're going
Don't hate
going
the play, Tony. Hate the game. I'm in this to make money.
That's
I don't
right.
care about your feelings. I'm sorry, people.
And I don't short stocks ever in my life. I've never shorted a stock. So I hear people say, "Oh, he's short on GameStop." I hate shorts, honestly. Could I in the future ever short a stock? Hey, one more thing for me to learn one day. But I don't like the risk of shorting. If I'm gonna take a downward bet on a company, I'll buy some puts. But I honestly think GameStop is getting at a point where the bulls have a chance to to really do something. But a lot of what happens next with GameStop is going to be dependent, in my view, right now, on what management does with that $2 billion in cash on the balance sheet. Just having the cash there is not really a solution. It needs to be put to work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I think it needs to be worked, right? Like the same way that I work my portfolio. If it ain't making money, it's pointless to sit there and hold cash. That's all.
Magnatera says, I hope Roaring Kitty comes back to pump GME. Mediocre, do you think that Keith Gill coming back a week or two ago was part of the reason that this stock ran up?
Absolutely, I believe that.
I do too. I do too. I don't think he
he
was the
created the hype to
yeah.
get the gamma ramp train moving, right? Like there was already people lined up. There's no
Yep.
doubt about that. That's not my argument. My argument is he came back and brought what by him coming back, the hype of him coming back got people interested in buying, which helped push the price up, which helped the gamma ramp keep climbing, and so on and so forth.
And that was
Squeeze some shorts, you know,
squeeze some shorts
force
out. That was
market makers to buy shares to help push the price up, you know.
and that just reminds me too, speaking of that price run up, the other thing that I can promise you guys on this channel, as we're talking about GameStop, you're never going to hear me tell you don't sell into a run up. You're never going to hear me tell you do not sell into a run up. If you are able to sell and put some coin in your pocket on a run from $10 to $80, you know, I'll send you a bottle of champagne and say you have progressed to become a real investor. Because what always happens, Mediocre, when we sell into these run-ups, what do we do next?
We wait for a pullback.
We wait for a pullback. And if we love the company, what do?
We sell puts.
We sell puts and we buy back in. We get our shares back.
Absolutely.
That is real investing, guys. Now, if that makes the buy and hold crowd upset, look, you live in a world where everybody has different ways that they invest. And if you're going to be upset that other investors have different ways of loving a stock or trying to make money, then I really don't know what to say to you.
Exactly.
That's not my concern.
I have no problem with GameStop investors or AMC investors. I'm just telling you how I choose to do it. Whether
Yep.
you want to listen or not is up to you. I personally don't care what you do. Don't get mad at me for doing what I do, though. That's all I'm saying. There's nothing to be.
Exactly. So, Mediocre, last night we went through one of Keith's original due diligence videos where he laid out a beautiful value investor analysis of GameStop, one of his first videos. And he has a spreadsheet kind of like the one that I do for tracking a bunch of metrics on GameStop. His is way more complicated than mine.
Yeah.
But tonight, I thought, last night I said in the next update, we were going to go look at his January kind of celebration video where GameStop was trading around $65 before it did the next leg up. But as I was kind of looking through his content today, I found another video that I thought might be better to look at first as we work through his timeline of how his thinking and his analysis of this play maybe changed over time. What we have here is the second quarter results for 2020. So
You think he's still holding his original shares, Tony?
I have no idea. No way to know.
I hear some people think that.
I will say, Mediocre, it crossed my mind that he came back because he wanted to unload them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that for a fact.
Me either. But that's kind of my speculation as well.
Yeah, I have no way of knowing. And I hope one day, we hear from him and get to hear all of the rest of the story. What we have here, though, tonight, we haven't heard him go through an earnings call. Many of you, weren't maybe around or you weren't paying attention to Roaring Kitty back then, but you've heard me go through earnings calls and earnings reports of companies many, many times. I'm kind of curious, mediocre, as he's going through this, what are the key things he is focusing on to see if if the company's improving and is his thesis still true? And speaking of thesis and kind of how like I previewed part of this video today, and one thing that I appreciate with Keith is he calls out to the bears a lot. You heard it last night. He's like, hey, if you think I got something wrong, shoot me a message. Let me know. You see how good of an attitude he has about it, mediocre? Did you notice that last night?
Yeah.
He's a very intelligent person that wants his thesis tested. As long as you can, bring the receipts.
Yeah, he was open minded, but he had his thesis. He was
I
willing to
don't
listen.
I don't think he'd go on a emotional, profanity laden doxing tirade. I think he would try and hear you out if you could bring some numbers and have a discussion like an adult with you. And I appreciate that about Keith. And I want to say that to maybe any bears that are watching this video or future ones I do on GameStop. I am more bullish now on GameStop. I don't think it's at a fundamental price where I'm ready to buy in yet. But if you are a mega bear on GameStop and you want to come, throw some water on the fire and tell me your bear thesis, I can promise you that I will always keep it adult. And my degree is in economics, finance, and banking. I can have the conversation with you, and I can appreciate your numbers. And those that have come on my channel, like Sparky and some others that don't necessarily love Corex, they don't necessarily love AMC. They could be more bearish, or they see negative things that maybe I don't see. I love to have those people come have an adult conversation with me, because it makes me think, and it makes me make sure that I'm still on track with my own bull thesis. So for you guys, the invitation is always open for the ones that are adults. If you have a history of acting like a child, or profanity, doxing, all of that, we don't got time for you. Frank, what's up, buddy? DZ says, from charting perspective, AMC and GameStop look decent for another run up. They do. Yeah, GameStop had a good day on the chart today. And AMC got a little bump up at the end of the day today as well. Mediocre, do you got any opening thoughts before we kick off this video here? I know I went on a long ramble there, but I had all day to think about this while I was resting in bed trying to get over being ill. Whatever I got. I hope it's not the flu.
In the market, if that's what you want to know.
What is that?
I had a great week in the market, if that's what you want to know. I mean,
that's beautiful. What was your best trade?
My best trade is I sold $20 puts on GameStop.
Okay.
Because I didn't believe it was going to break below $20, Tony.
We talked about that all week, that we thought it was going to trade mostly flat. And once we knew the earnings date, we kind of have an idea where we think it could have the next inflection point, but that this week would be a pretty safe week to sell put options and collect that premium.
Yes, sir.
And I'm glad that worked out for you.
Oh yeah.
I was a little more bearish than you in my analysis, mediocre. I was not willing to sell puts at $20, but you and I often disagree on stuff. So I forwent the opportunity to make that money this week. But I got to ask myself, if it dropped to $19.95, how happy would I be buying it at $20 from that cash secured put? And I would not be very happy. until I got to see a few more weeks in this range. You know what I mean?
No, I don't disagree with you, right? That's why, like, I'm people were asking me, like, what do I plan on doing next week already? And I'm like, man, I don't know.
Yeah.
I
So,
got several options and I want to see where we're going to end up,
and I'm sure we'll all, our group, and you guys are invited to the group. Just join the Discord. We tend to spend all weekend hashing this out, like what everybody puts in their 2 cents, and at the end of the powwow, everybody often has still a different plan, right? Mediocre, but
Yeah.
we share ideas and
Strategy.
DD, and then everyone has their own risk tolerance and their own bankroll and their own portfolio. And so everybody makes their own choice of what they're going to do.
Yeah, not everybody can do the same exact thing,
Yeah.
So some people have different um, prices for their shares or whatever. They have to do different things to make what they're trying to do work. But we try to talk about a lot of stuff to give people an idea.
Yep. Michael says, why are you looking at the same video? This is a different video, Michael. This will be their Q2 earnings release. So a different one than we went through last night. I kind of want to see, along with you guys, how he read through in earnings and what were the key things he was looking at, what was going through his mind, and why am I doing this? Besides, I just like that he's a value investor, because I think that the GameStop community, many of them, have lost their way in analyzing a play. And I think this is a good refresher. You can never go wrong improving the fundamentals, improving the basics.
And I'll add to this, and it reaches farther than just GME, right?
Oh, every fucking play, every ticker. This is the
You know,
basics.
like, and to be honest, Roaring Kitty paved the way for where we are and where retail looks at stocks now, right?
He paved the way, mediocre, but I think at some point, the way that he paved diverged into two different roads
Exactly. No, I
of the
agree.
people who,
That's where I was going with it.
there's still people who, like me, like GameStop at the right price and can unemotionally evaluate the financials. And then there's the people who, maybe there's three roads. There's the people that don't give two shits about the financials as long as they can get a short squeeze. And then there's the people who say they care about the financials, can't really talk about them. They try, but they're not really good at it. And they're secretly just hoping for a MOAS. So I think we got three different roads here that this group split into.
Yeah, I don't disagree, and I think and I think that this series of videos is good for people who don't understand like what's going on. To go back and look at what Roaring Kitty was actually looking at.
And I want that, because when I give my analysis on GameStop and then people watch it and they're like, this guy's a bear, I'm doing the same analysis this dude on the screen here did. The facts are, it's not undervalued right now. That is black and white financial analysis. It's not undervalued. It's wildly overvalued. But you could add in a little bit of extra spice for sentiment. I get that. You could add in a little bit of extra sauce for the Ryan Cohen, who knows what he's going to do. I would be nervous if I was a short. I'm just telling you. But we don't have those in the bag yet. You know what I'm saying, mediocre?
Yeah.
I can only talk to you guys about the numbers that I see. We can dream about a lot of stuff. And if you want to dream about other stuff and overpay for a stock, maybe you'll get lucky. Great. I will applaud you.
And
As
now,
for
and to be clear, I'm a technical trader, you guys. Yeah, I'm using fundamentals, right? But I didn't always use fundamentals. I'm using them now because I think it matters, right? But if you put them together, I mean, I
that's where
think
the real power.
exactly. And I'm not just telling you that. I mean, look at what Roaring Kitty was talking about in the last video. Exactly that. He was talking about the fundamentals of the stock, and then he was going over some technicals. I mean, it is what it is.
He spent 90% of the time on the fundamentals.
Absolutely.
10% on the chart, 0% talking about billions of synthetics, naked shorts. Where's the DOJ, SEC, FBI? Like,
Exactly.
I just feel like a lot of us have lost our way, and I'd like to develop a culture where people can still love these stocks without getting lost in the weeds of conspiracy theory, because it's worked really well for me. And mediocre, I know it's worked really well for you too. Do we always get it 100% right? No.
No,
Nobody gets everything 100% right. But
nobody.
what we didn't do was hold GameStop all the way down. What we didn't do is hold AMC all the way down. We took an exit on AMC and APE at the reverse split conversion date and waited for it to bottom out after that dilution event. And I've been in and out of AMC 3 times
And all
since.
that was based on what, Tony? Fundamentals.
Fundamentals. That's right. Fundamentals, reading the filings. So I can support these stocks. I can like the companies, but I can't get emotionally married to them, because I tried that. I tried participating with retail from 2021 to 2023.
And
And
I'll tell you guys, I really don't care what the ticker symbol is. I don't care as long as it makes me money. That's what I care about. What is my net liquid in my account? That's what I care about. That's
yep.
it.
And at the end of the day, mediocre, if this thing starts rocketing, if it comes down to a price where I say, for me, I'm ready to load the boat. I don't know where that is yet for GameStop, but if it gets down there, $10 should have been like a hello, but I missed it. So if
So
it
did
gets
I.
if it gets
I
down
want
there,
to know it.
if it gets down there and I buy in, then we're all pulling in the same direction. I want y'all to know that I don't hate this company. I'm not short this company. I'm being that guy that wants the best possible entry. I don't like looking at my portfolio and seeing something, if I were to buy in at 23 and it drops to 13, you know how much that would piss me off? So I'd be a lot less pissed off if I bought in at 15 and it dropped to 13. I tell you that. I can fix 15 to 13 with selling covered call options. All right, mediocre.
Absolutely.
It's a lot harder to fix when you're down 50%.
That's why we're very careful on our entries, right?
Yeah. I want y'all to hear that. What we're saying is, we're not being careful on our entry because we hate the play. We just know the work that it takes to fix when you get too upside down in a play, and you could waste weeks trying to fix something because you bought in too early.
Absolutely. That means weeks of not making profit. You're making money, the money
You're
back that you lost.
you're making money, you're fixing your basis, but it's like bailing water out of the boat because you fucked up and put a hole through the bottom of the boat.
Right. You're really not gaining because you're making back what you already had. So
Yeah.
I don't
All
like
right.
to do that.
I think that's kind of a good kickoff discussion, and I hope that resonates with some of you guys. I know it's not for everyone, and that's fine. The buy and hold crowd, the diamond hand crowd, is not going to like me. That's fine. I don't really care. I'm here for the people. If you like GameStop and you are looking for smart ways to trade it, because I guarantee you, if I'm in this play and it's running up, I will be selling it. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I don't give buy and hold instructions. I don't give price targets. But I'm just going to tell you now, if I got in this stock at 10 or 15 and it goes up an obscene amount like what just happened, I will absolutely be selling it. You don't even need to ask me.
Nope.
And then I'll wait for it to come back down, and I'll buy back. And now I've got more cash to buy some blue chip stocks with. I got my fund money back, and I got my cash to invest in solid, profitable companies. Or you could be like mediocre and just say, "Fuck it, Tony, I'm rolling it all back into GameStop." I'm just teasing. You don't really do that. I'm going to light my cigar up here, mediocre, and then we'll kick off Keith Gill. Any other final thoughts? Any questions there you want to read from the screen?
Friesmo says that he rolled some puts because he didn't want to buy in at 450 this week.
450 puts on AMC.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. I saw some of you guys selling 450 puts, and someone asked, I think in the comments, someone asked what I did with AMC. I was not willing to sell 450 puts. I do not want to buy AMC at 450. I don't want to buy it at $4. I am kind of like in a wait and see mode. As you guys know, I exited my AMC position in that run up a week or two ago. I'm in cash on that portion of my portfolio that I allocate to AMC. I made a fuck ton of money percentage wise on that, and I'm waiting for the price to come back down, but I don't know, where it's going to be, where the new support line is going to be. But until I get a feel for where it's at, I still think there's a little bit of froth in the whole mix right now. If it takes off running again to $12, I will jump in. It takes me 2 seconds to buy, but
I won't miss it.
It's not like I'm not sitting at my computer all day. I'm watching the charts all day. But in the meantime, what I'm waiting for it to do is just do that natural pullback, and Q2's a little weak for AMC. I'm hoping June will be better and that we can get some good numbers on the books for Q2. But, to me, it looks like the price is likely to come down. I could be wrong. Who knows? Whatever other news Adam and Sean have for us. But for the moment, I'm just parked. All my cash is parked. And I'm
What
being
did Warren
patient.
Buffett say about patience, Tony? I forget.
I forget what did he say about patience?
He said, what did he say exactly? I don't want to mess up his quote. Hold on. Let me look it up because now I'm having a brain fart. I just had it.
DZ says, I know you don't do conspiracy theories. Any thoughts on the potential NFT dividend? I find it interesting, if a company was able to pull that off. It's not ever something I'm going to be talking about on my channel. I've been watching people with the Wu-Tang Clan and NFT and taking it to what's that blockchain T0. I just think people are desperate for something to talk about, so they throw a lot up against the wall and see what sticks. And I'm just not really interested in discussing that stuff on my channel. But if a company announces that they're doing it, then we'll absolutely talk about it.
You ready, Tony?
Yeah. What do you say?
The stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient.
Yep. And that is one thing I've learned in 30 plus years of doing this, mediocre, is it's okay to be patient. Unless you're expecting to die next week, I could wait an extra week or two to buy a stock. You know how pissed I'd be if I bought something on Friday and it went down 20, 30% the next week because I wasn't patient enough. That's why it's important, though, to be able to do the real fundamental analysis, because then it doesn't mean that I'll be correct, right, mediocre? But
Right.
I'm looking at probabilities based on my read of the financials. What is the probability I'll be correct? How did I know at the beginning of this year? How was I able to say at the beginning of this year GameStop would hit $10? Because I did the fundamental analysis and I saw it as a high probability event, high enough that I placed a monetary bet on it. That's how sure I was. Now we're in this kind of reset period. We're in a reset actively right now. I don't know if it'll go back down to 10. They got another billion on the balance sheet. A lot of exciting stuff sentiment wise. So we'll see. We'll see how the next couple weeks roll. I'm down for whatever. I'm flexible. And that is really another thing is be flexible, guys. Be flexible in your strategy. Be flexible in your analysis. If something's not working and you're losing, self-analyze.
And
What
take
did
the
you
emotions out of your trades.
right? What did you miss? Who did you listen to that gave you wrong information? And what can you do better next time?
I make emotionless trades, you guys. I don't care what the outcome is. It doesn't matter if it goes my way or doesn't go my way. I'm looking for a result, but the other side of the result that I'm looking for, if it happens, it's not going to affect me. I don't, you know what I mean? And I've had to get to that, to really, now it is what it is. I make my trades and I could care less what happens.
Charles says, do you believe in the theory of gamma ramp? Do you want to talk about that one, Mediocre? I'll weigh in on it too, but
Yeah, I think gamma ramps do happen. And I just want to let you guys know they work in both directions, though. Remember that.
You took my talking point.
You can have it, but I'll just continue and I'll say what we've
It's
seen.
it's
With the
funny how
whole,
we think alike, Mediocre. This is what I don't hear other YouTubers telling you guys. They pump you up about the positive gamma ramp potential, which is absolutely there. It's not a theory. It's a if the options chain is loaded and the price is moving up, there's 100% potential for gamma ramp. That is a real thing. What they don't tell you is gamma ramp can work in the other direction if the buyers evaporate and the sellers get control. Your downward momentum can accelerate. There's a negative gamma ramp because
so
what causes gamma ramp? Do you guys know that?
me,
It's the hedging of the market makers having to buy up shares in the options chain. That if GameStop's at 23 and I buy a $40 call, they don't really need to hedge that. Maybe a couple shares.
right?
But the more the price moves up, in order to stay flat on their risk, they need to purchase more shares. And they have computers to tell them what kind of hedging they need to do. But as things move up with buying, they're going out and buying more shares to hedge their risk. This is a very basic, simple way to think about it. And that creates that gamma ramp. But as soon as the price starts coming down, like say it just peaks out through natural buying and selling, and then the price starts going down, what do? They don't need those shares that they were buying on the way up anymore. So they start selling, which creates extra selling pressure and a negative gamma ramp.
Right. And that's what happened when Roaring Kitty came back, right? There was
You could see
already
it on the chart. You could see these massive moves up and then boom. And people are like, oh, this is crime. No, it's negative gamma ramp. In my
right.
opinion, at least part of it was.
This is what you need to think about, right? If you create a gamma ramp, that means the options chain is loaded up. Okay? What happens? The stock price starts to climb. When the stock price starts to climb, when it gets between, okay, let's say we're trading at $2, just for the sake of this argument, and you get between $2 and $2.50, and people are buying the $2 call option. Then people start buying the $2.50 call option. The stock price starts climbing up. Now the market maker has to buy $2.50 shares to cover the people in case it holds that area, right? And then it keeps going up and up and up. And anyways, when people start selling off to take profits, what do you think happens? People start selling off. The stock price starts to fall. Not hedge funds, market makers don't need the shares no more, so they sell them back. It drops the price even more. Boom, boom, boom. That's negative.
And Sparky points out a good extra point. We haven't even got into the half of the discussion, the other half of how puts affect gamma ramp. The other thing that I hear people talking about when they're talking about the options chain, like look at all the open interest, and they're going to have to deliver all these shares on Monday. Like about 60% of options don't even get exercised. You can go Google the statistics. I know a lot of people say 90%. I don't think it's that high, but let's
No,
say
Tony, is the average that people lose on options
Okay.
if you're buying them.
Yeah. I mean, the amount of times I've exercised a call option in 30 years, almost never. I've exercised cash secured puts. But, when I see people hyping folks up on YouTube talking about look at all this open interest. And I'm just thinking to myself, I'm yelling through my monitor, like, tell them what's going to happen on Friday if these people are in the money. They're going to fucking close those calls and take their money, and all that open interest that you're hyping them up about is meaningless on Monday.
How often do I look at Max Payne, Tony? Tell him.
We look at it every week. At least I think we do.
Yeah, we need to know. So if the stock price is trading well above Max Payne, I'm very cautious on what's going to happen because it tends to go back towards Max Payne, and that is based on exactly what I just described to you.
And the fact that those people that were in the money on their call options are closing them out. And then the market maker doesn't need to keep the hedge shares that they were holding.
So the price gradually works its way back towards.
Yeah, I stopped talking about Max Payne, I think, in about 2021 it is accurate. It is accurate, but it's not. I don't know that it should be something that YouTubers are focusing their time on. If you're options trading, I think it's important.
You have to understand options to understand how it actually works, right?
Yeah,
I think that's a problem.
For us, if you're long on calls or if you're selling puts, I think it's good to know where the Max Payne is because you need to know where the price is likely to end up. If you're buying and holding shares, does it really matter that much?
Yeah.
I see all these channels that just cover buying and holding a stock. Why the fuck do you care about Max Payne?
Exactly.
It's meaningless to you.
Because they think that options are destroying the stock price. That's what they think. Which, in a way, they are, right? If you didn't have options in the stock price, you would have a more true supply and demand. But, the reason you have options is because there's a lot of liquidity in the stock, a lot of volatility, and they want to use that.
Matt says you and Nick would get along. He's still pushing that the memes haven't bottomed out. He did lose me though when he went down the cat system rabbit hole. I will say that I appreciate Nick's accuracy in calling the correct downward momentum on AMC. He was correct on that to a point, but I listen to people like that, but I still do my own DD, and I did not agree with him that it was going to $1.50 or whatever he said. I don't know yet that I agree with him. I think if I could summarize his thesis is that everything is pre-programmed. The algo is going to take it down to $1.50, and Adam Aron is in on the game, and he's going to tweet at the right time to take it down there. Did I summarize that correctly? You guys read his tweets. I don't read all of them. He kind of lost me there, mediocre.
I don't know who he is. So.
He's a guy on Twitter, an investor, and he seems like a sharp guy, but I don't read all of his tweets, but
I'm oblivious to all YouTubers and all that. I don't pay attention to you guys, to be honest. Not you, Tony. I'm talking about.
Yeah. And I as far as the CAT system and what else, the T+1, anyone who's asked me about it in the comments, I usually, just say I'm on my channel. We're not going to be covering that because I don't think that it's going to be meaningful to any trade that I'm in. Is that clear enough? I understand what they are. T+1 is faster settlement for those of you that, you don't have to wait T+2 for your trade to settle. It also reduces institutions' margin requirements on the NSEC volatility. margin portion of their collateral requirement by 43%. Not exactly great for us, right? Mediocre. If we want institutions to get margin called, what did T+1 do? It helped them out.
Yeah.
It reduced their margin requirement. I don't hear people talking about that.
No.
And so that's my thoughts on T+1. You're not going to really hear me ever talking about it. We've been down this road on every rule, regulation, and whatever you can think of for the last 3 years. I'm just tired of hearing about all these theories from other people, and not one of them's ever made a meaningful difference. But I always hold out some hope, mediocre. Hope springs eternal. But I won't be talking about them. The CAT system is an audit system for after the fact, recreating a sequence of trades for investigating for potential crime. I also don't see that having any meaningful impact, because I don't think that 100% of actors in the market are 100% of the time acting illegally. Does illegality happen? Absolutely. Absolutely. But and the people that are doing it, maybe having an audit trail will make them think twice. But since I don't think the entire market is corrupt, just pockets of it, I'm not expecting any meaningful change from the CAT system. But I'm happy that it's coming, and I'm happy that regulators will have more tools at their disposal.
We need to get on with the show, Tony, too.
We don't want to be here all night, right? All right. I may speed through some of this. I would put it on like 1.25, but I don't know. He talks fast. I don't know if we'll be able to catch everything he says. And y'all let me know. I'm trying something a little different on the screen share tonight. Please let me know. I talked to support to try and reduce the echo. Let me know when we start this off if there's still an echo or not.
What up, everybody? Cheers, everybody, huh?
Cheers.
Needless
Cheers,
to say, we
everybody.
got GameStop down after hours. They reported earnings today, so obviously today's stream brought to you by. Have you seen about the videos? How was you gonna get through this position, huh? You got it. I'm kidding, right? But yeah, they reported earnings today. Big day. Clearly, the market's immediate reaction here is just a little bit of a sell-off. But if you've seen the stream, you've seen the videos, you know it's like. First of all, just to pull up the VWAP, right? You know how we always talk about the after hours, like what's actually happening. Is it actually just noise? This seems mostly like noise. So if I just pull up the after hours here, we just take a peek. The VWAP was like 687. It's like 5-6%. You know what I mean? Like that's not. It's a heavily shorted company, right? Like you need really, really bad news to be on the right side of that trade. I know I've said that so many times, and so I'm reading this. I'm like, all right, let's see if the shorts get the really bad news that they need. And I'm reading this. I'm like, uh-oh. Now, you get the after hours action, right? And it's like, is this really? We got to see what happens tomorrow. But as far as the short thesis itself, look.
So this earnings, just so y'all know, this was the Q2 2020. And they had a negative revenue. We'll get to that in a second. They had a positive free cash flow. We'll get to that in a second. But you can see on the chart, the after hours, it dropped 11.5%. I see Korax joining us too. What's up, amigo?
Sorry about my tardiness.
That's all right.
Not much, just settling in for the weekend.
I just want to, since you're here, I know a lot of people are mad at you, Korax, maybe even more so than me. I just want to reiterate for you what I said at the beginning of this live stream. Were you listening in while we were streaming earlier?
No, I just hurried off of work and got here.
I basically said, I'm always open on my channel to having people with a different perspective, even if you hated GameStop or, as long as a bear or a person with a different thesis on a play can discuss it with some financial acumen and moderately adult behavior. And the type of behavior I'm talking about that is not adult behavior.
I know the type of behavior that you're talking about that isn't adult behavior because I was again subjected to it this afternoon on Twitter.
So anyone and like yourself, you don't agree with me on a lot of plays, and I'm okay with that because I think having people that disagree with me just makes me be better. I just need adults in the room to have the conversation. You know what I mean?
Yep.
All right, let's move on. So we're looking at we're tonight, Corex. We're gonna speed through as much as we can. Keith Gill going through Q2 2020 earnings just to see, as a value investor, what were the things he was keying in on? What were the things he was focusing on? And this was good on free cash flow, not good on net income this quarter.
Look out! If you see, we'll go through everything today, the balance sheet and everything like that. But the first thing that stuck out to me is, I mean, obviously the cash on the books, and then if you include that latest sell leaseback transaction, they got almost $800 million in cash. What's the market cap? Right before today it was 475. I'm like, because if you're going to be this short a company, I tweeted a couple things out. If you saw my tweets, like this backdrop is like, I mean, I see the sell-off after, but like the backdrop for this is like super bullish technically and fundamentally, and then you got this short initial reaction. We'll see what it does tomorrow. You never know. I've seen it sell off, and then it bounces the next day. You can't be too concerned with the after-hour stuff, right? We've just have a laugh about this, but we'll look into the balance sheet and the press release, and I listened to the conference call too, as I'm sure many of you did as well. So I'd be curious to hear your thoughts.
Man, if we could get one of those again, a conference call, holy shit!
Right? There's not going to be one in June either.
But even still, mad people talking. Okay, so I'll look into all these comments here, but yeah, so I was curious to see what the move was going to be. But this chart, so let's say it pulled back to 650. Let's just say it could be up tomorrow. It could be green tomorrow, no joke. Or it could be down 20%. What the hell do I know? But 650, isn't this going to be funny? Look at this. If you want to do some magic artsy technical analysis, that's right there.
Could be anything. I don't know what.
Retest down to where it broke through resistance. That would be a sick retest, right? It goes, falls down, then bounces from there. But that would make me short. You know, as I say it, like how they're humans on the other side of this trade. Roaring Kitty
I can see why he got so popular in 2020. He just has such an energy about him.
And I just think
he just loves.
If you're short, you need the short. You need the short.
And he's willing to admit that he's wrong in a very jovial way. I mean, he's willing to admit, hey, there's a chance I could be wrong.
So anyway, let's say it does just drop. Let's just say hypothetically,
very humble.
650, like. That's that's kind of a healthy pullback to resistance area. I think, oh no, maybe this is confirmation bias, right? You see me list all those things in my when I was tweeting them out, but then you back out to the weekly, and I'm like, oh, this is if this is the best is this the worst to come? Is a pullback to like 650 or something? That's really not that much. So this is we're just talking like fun talk here, stock price pullback, blah blah blah. But what we got to dig into is, of course, this super important press release. All eyes were on this, right? And I'm sure there were a number of people, maybe even people who tuned to the stream, who are hoping for that quick bounce. I mean, you're always kind of hoping for it with Cohen taking his position. But welcome to the life of being a GameStop investor. If you jumped in hoping for like this short squeeze overnight or the next 2 weeks or something, cheers to you. Welcome to being a GameStop. This is the life. You got to get used to it. And as you know, in all my videos and stuff, right? This is a long-term thesis. My quick take, just a quick take. Oh, I see a whole bunch of people talking here. I'll get to them. Quick take. Long-term thesis is still fully intact. If I don't know how you can read this and things falling apart. There's still just doesn't mean GameStop is fully intact. I just mean it could still work out. It's not like it's dead in the water. That's all I mean. Is that this is all probabilities, right? There's a probability it can work out over the long term. Probability it doesn't work out. Blah 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 blah. Right now, that long-term thesis that I'm always talking about in my videos, that's still fully intact. Doesn't mean it works out. But on the downside, I think there's even more downside protection. I spend a long time in my videos about that downside protection. It's such a huge part of my thesis because then you're just like, all right, management, figure it out. Figure out this upside. There's lots of upside opportunity if you can figure it out.
For those of y'all that wondering what he's talking about, the downside protection, they still had a lot of cash on the balance sheet and they have positive shareholders' equity. So when he's saying downside protection, even if the company went bankrupt, he's not going to be wiped out. That's basically what he's saying.
And now they have even more cash on the books, and we're that much closer to the console refresh. So I'm like, it's really difficult to be short. And I get the case against being long, but I was saying to someone, I feel more confident. I feel more confident against being short at the current level of short interest of about 100% of the float. But if you adjust those numbers or whatever, you get to it's like 200% of the float if you adjust for the people who are tightly holding the shares, right? So it's like I'm more confident that that's a risky trade than I am that long GameStop is a long trade.
Oh,
And that
I
gives
agree
me
with him
comfort
as a
long.
short seller. That's
I'm just wrapping my brain around it this weekend, and I'm thinking, so you see me toss out
The other interesting thing at this time is they had a very close upcoming console
It's okay to have
refresh.
a short interest against the company. There's legitimate
Right now,
secular
we're
risk
looking
here.
at what,
Cohen,
2026
taking
for the
a
next
position
one?
didn't change
because
that.
you had the
But,
Wii coming
but
out
like,
or
are you
already
that
out.
confident?
And
Are
then
you
you
that
had the
certain? How could you be that certain that it's definitely going to work out and that they can't
falling probably a
reinvent
year
themselves
later,
in this thriving industry? Like, I'm not that certain of shit.
His
There ain't
timing
shit
was
that I'm that
impeccable
confident
on this
about.
play.
And so I think I'm really nervous if I'm the short. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. This I don't know. Hopefully if you see my videos, you're probably longer term investors. This is noise, right? This is nothing. More important is how they did this quarter and what the outlook was. So we'll get into that as we move through things.
The market cap has increased to
let me pull this up.
475
We'll work
based on
through
the
this.
price
All right,
push
just
up.
some quick. What do we got for questions? Hey Hugo. Hey, what's up, Steve? Hey, all right. Cheers, Hugo. Steve. Cheers, Harsh. The earnings were a mess. The guidance for Q3 sounds like a disaster. The management can't answer any questions. All right, so Harsh says the earnings were a mess. The guidance for Q3 sounds like a disaster. The management can't answer any questions that the analysts were asking. All right, I don't fully agree with that. I'm not saying this is all roses of a quarterly conference call or anything like that, but I don't think it was a.
Notice how he didn't insult the commenter.
Yeah, it sounds like they get some headwinds Q3, but this is a long-term thesis that's unfolding here, right? I mean, Q2 was a mess. Q1 was a mess. Like we're getting closer to Q4. So yeah, if you're trading GameStop based on Q3 performance, that's not what I'm doing. Maybe this stuff could get pushed to Q4. Some people holding back. That's not a mess in my eyes. I just think, all right, some Q3 headwinds. But if you're looking out 2 years, that's noise because it all gets accounted for. All right, Harsh. Okay, Harsh, you got a bunch of questions. All right, I got to go through. I'll go through these. But before we get to, I'll revisit your comments, Harsh. But let's just touch on a couple things here, right? So you always care. It's always. I feel like some people they'll get the press release and they just read like the titles and they move on. A lot of people, hopefully people on the stream, we're reading it, right? But I always think it's really important what they say in the title, how they kick things off, and also what the management team says, what the quote is, what Sherman says in the quarter. That stuff's always important. But yeah, e-commerce sales up 800%. That's sick. SG&A improves, generates operating cash flow. So the big thing for me, and I'm glad they trumpeted here, is that operating cash flow. Now, some of that is due to working capital management, right? But still, what's the market? Yeah, 475. Oh, it's ticking down. 475. And they had operating cash flow 193. If you see the stream, you know how much I care about operating cash flow, right? Because if you can't generate positive operating cash flow, if you're burning cash, I see some people talk about GameStop burning cash because they had a loss on the quarter here. I think that's not burning cash. You burn cash on the cash flow statement. We'll get to that. But anyway, that's a shit ton of free cash flow. Let's pull it up actually. All right, so you can actually see.
Correct.
Oh, this is
correct.
Yep.
In the most recent quarter, GameStop posted a profit. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I know you don't follow GameStop closely, but do you know what their operating cash flow was in the last quarter?
No, I just know that they had an operating loss from the income statement. But as far as the free cash flow, I didn't look too hard at that.
Well, we're talking operating cash flow. So last quarter, even though they posted a profit due to the interest earnings, they had negative 11 million on operating cash flow. And I just bring that up as a counterpoint, for some context of what we're talking about here. He's super excited that they had a positive operating cash flow. And this is one of the things that I look at on every company, including AMC. Like, positive operating cash flow is that's your first line in the sand.
You have gotten past your normal expenses for operating your business with a profit. Congratulations.
Right. That's the first line in the sand. It's not the last line in the sand.
6 months. Oh shit. Is this 6 months ended? The 10Q only has 6 months? Come on. All right. We'll just get it. It's in the press release. Yeah, right here. So look at this. 193. So I really care about the operating cash flow, right? This is especially critical It depends on the thesis. There's all different types of plays, but for the GameStop thesis in particular, you need a shit ton of cash to reinvent yourself, right? I mean, there's no reinventing yourself if you can't afford it, especially if you're struggling. Right? There's no guarantee that you can go to capital markets to raise some cash.
Did you hear what he just said? He's talking about GameStop reinventing itself.
Yep.
What does that mean to you?
Well, I know a little more history of, he's aware that the industry is moving to digital, and he in other videos had talked about how they were toying with different store layouts and store concepts. I honestly don't know whatever happened to those store concepts they were experimenting with in Tulsa back in that day.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really noticed any fundamental change in GameStop store layout, so I could be wrong because I don't shop there every day. But yeah, he knows, Mediocre, that the industry's changing, but he also knows that the gaming industry is growing, and he wants to see GameStop pivot into a business that can capitalize and still be relevant in a growing gaming sector.
So, Tony, as a gamer, that's what I want to tell you. The gaming community is growing, right?
Yes, absolutely.
But console gaming is slowing. A lot more gaming is being done on PC rather than.
And you can do it pretty affordably. Like that tower I've got in the background, all those parts minus the graphics card probably would cost you $200. And then the graphics card itself would probably cost you another $200. Depending on how you wanted to build your graphics card out, because that's going to be the horse engine that drives what kind of quality graphics you can have. But you can get a pretty affordable used PC or a budget PC at a pretty affordable rate. And that's always been my big question mark every time when we look at the whole GameStop rebranding itself. There's a lot of, as far as the budget build space that competes in that same console market. And, Mediocre, you're talking about how, a lot of people are becoming part of the PC master race like myself. And so I feel like that's a market that could be tapped. And it's just that's the thing is he's looking at it from there. They haven't started doing a transition yet. And now we're in the future. They've got all this cash. When are they going to pull the trigger on something?
Well, to be fair, they tried a few things that didn't work, and we just got to wait and see what they have up their sleeve. That's why I talk about the potential. That potential of $2 billion should make a short nervous, I would think, and if they can wisely utilize that $2 billion.
To Matt's comment, from one gamer to another, I agree with you. Anybody who is a gamer would know that you could play console games on a PC.
That's why the only console I have is Nintendo.
Right. There's a thing that you could play somebody could play on an Xbox, somebody could play on a PC and be in the same game.
I actually have a console right here next to me hooked up to my PC to give me flexibility. And I'll probably refresh it in 2026, but
I just wanted to bring that up, Tony, that he was talking about that.
And I was talking with some people about refreshing their stores, because I know a lot of their stores could probably use an overhaul too. When they get the transition of clearing out all of this spinning disc media that no one buys anymore, and they have a product that they can replace it with, or maybe they downsize the footprint of their stores and make them smaller. You're going to need to do an overhaul of your stores if you're going to keep the ones you are going to keep. To get them up to date, because some of them are heavily dated, and they put the price target at about, probably anywhere from, $750 to $1 billion, all their current stores, to give them a refresh and update and get them up to speed. And, more power to them. They've got the money to do a lot of different things. It's just the question of what are they going to do and how they execute on it.
I want to speak to Retro Mage's comment, because I used to game a lot when my two boys were younger, and not so much now that they're both in college. And
Retro Mage, it's got my setup.
Yeah, I put out a poll a couple months ago, and I think I put it on Twitter, and I said, or maybe YouTube, I forget where I put it, but I said, if you were me I'm not following the gaming community, day by day. But I said, if you were me, just a casual gamer in 2026 or whenever the next refresh is, would you buy an updated Sony, Sony or Nintendo? And the most of the answers came back and said you should play on your PC.
Tony, you know something? I appreciate you guys talking
that
about.
was just surprising to me, Mediocre, because I didn't even think that should be an option. That's how little of a gamer I am now.
Especially if you're a big retro gamer, because you can get an emulator and play all the old games you want to, so long as you got the ROMs.
You can put them right on your laptop. It doesn't matter, especially for Nintendo. But I want to tell you guys, like, I appreciate this gamer talk because I see people on live streams with gamer shirts and they don't know anything about gaming, right? Like the logo for my channel is clearly from GTA 5. Like, I mean, how stupid could you be to say somebody's not a gamer? I have two sons. I've been gaming for a very, very long time. I know a lot about gaming, and I know that most gamers leave console and go to PC. That is what happens.
You can call me you can call me not a gamer and it would not hurt my feelings. But if you think Mediocre is not a gamer, I see him still playing games sometimes in Discord,
I live stream them.
Yeah.
I will say I'm kind of a weird gamer when it comes to the kind of games I like, but I also like I like follow Linus Tech Tips and channels like that. So I have a little bit of an inside scoop on the hardware and how it's built and how you can definitely find a very cheap way that's comparative to the price of a console to build a PC that can definitely perform well.
I want to get to
hold on before we continue, Tony. One more thing I wanted to say, just for the record. All consoles are basically little computers. That's all they are.
Sure.
They're just that you can't access the internet because it's controlled by Microsoft or it's controlled by Sony. There's no difference in a PC and a console. So
and with the consoles,
if they're making
the money is
for $500, you can make a PC for $500.
And the thing, well, it's a little harder with the PC because it's been a known long industry secret that your Sonys, your Microsofts, your Nintendos, they make money on selling the license for people to put games on their systems, and they sell the consoles at a loss.
Kevin says, I don't know if I understand your question 100%, Kevin, but he's asking about how does GameStop was bankrupt potential become a better value play after the fact from AMC that was pushing hard to stay out of bankruptcy. I don't know if I understand your question 100%, but GameStop had bankruptcy risk back in 2020. That's why it was shorted 100%. But obviously Roaring Kitty said, hey, there is a window. I think he's like, if it was a 10% probability, would you take that risk? And he's like, I will take that risk. That might not be for you. That was his basic thesis. He said, I think they're going to be fine. They've got enough cash. The bonds look okay. The bond market's not saying bankruptcy risk. The shorts obviously thought it was going bankrupt, or they were trying to push it into bankruptcy. But GameStop got very lucky that the price ran up, as we know, in January and June, and they were able to raise a bunch of money and pay off their debt. They had very small amount of debt, and they were able to stay open most of COVID. They deemed themselves an essential business. So they never really lost 100% of their revenue. AMC had the double whammy of Hollywood shutting down, all the theaters shutting down, losing 90% of their revenue for a year. And on top of that, they had just finished a roll-up strategy, buying out competitors, and they had 10 times the debt of GameStop. So that's why AMC is struggling relative to GameStop. GameStop diluted. A lot of people, Adam Aaron's diluting. GameStop diluted, guys, in 2021. They diluted and paid off their debt, but they were lucky. They had a fraction of the debt, and their revenue never got completely shut off.
And that's something also to keep in mind is that, Roaring Kitty, Keith Gill, acknowledged that the play was highly risky. I mean, his name on Reddit was deep fucking value. It's like you're taking these risky leveraged plays and you're trying to minimize your risk by diversifying into them. And then if one blows up, then it's going to be a big gain because everyone thought it was fucking dead.
The other thing is, at the point we started watching him yesterday, GameStop was only 5% of his portfolio. Now, I'm interested, obviously, as the price goes up, the percentage of his portfolio is going to go up. But I'm curious if we can pull out
his whole portfolio, because a lot of those ones, they played out pretty well.
Well, he was a very good fundamentalist from what I could see. He was very good at going over the fundamentals. He understood the risk versus reward in that aspect. So,
and you'll see in this video, he's very confident in his long thesis. He's very confident that it was undervalued
because he's done the research and he knows it front to back.
Yeah, and it helps that the book value was greater than the market cap. I mean, that is, no one would argue that it's undervalued at that point.
Yeah.
When your market cap is lower than the book value, I mean, that's very easy to say that this was a undervalued play. Can we get from here to there? Can we get to the, generating some profits and some free cash flow? And so, yeah, his timing with the upcoming console refresh was impeccable. And he had the bonus of 100% short interest. And I still haven't heard him, Corax, talk about billions of synthetics or naked shorts or Gary Gensler, DOJ, SEC.
Imagine that.
And that's part of the exercise of doing this is I want you guys to go back to the basics and listen to how this all started, and then kind of compare in your mind what you're hearing today and why I kind of reject talking about that stuff now, because it never was the genesis of this stuff. And maybe by the end of this series, we'll get to the point of figuring out how we went from where we were to where we're at now. One other question, then we'll get back to Keith. Werick says, what is your favorite game ever and favorite movie ever? Favorite movie is tough for me. I have a bunch of genre of movies that I like, but favorite games that I've ever played. First one that I can remember was Unreal Tournament.
I love that game.
World of Warcraft and Call of Duty. Those would be the three that I've put the most hours in, and an insane amount of hours, an insane amount of time when my kids were younger.
Favorite movie would be hard for me. I'd go with Inception, but as far as games, Final Fantasy IX.
Sega, I remember that game too. I'm not a Final Fantasy player though, but I do remember the game. I really love GTA, to be honest. GTA 5 was my favorite game. I can't wait for 6 to come out.
I'm going to buy the new one when it comes out, Mediocre. That's, of all the gaming out there right now, that's what I'm looking forward to.
But the game that I put there was two other games. Now, you guys said a lot of games that I used to play, but Unreal Tournament was one of them. And I'd have to say, now these are both PC games. Unreal Tournament for 2K4 and America's Army. Those two games, which, believe it or not, the United States Army created America's Army game. That was a good game. I missed that game.
The genre of movies that I like, and to pick one would be hard, but I like war movies. Things like Top Gun or Platoon, anything that has to do with that. Saving Private Ryan, and I love the big historical action movies like Last of the Mohicans, Patriot, Braveheart, anything, in that, something like that.
I got an oldie on this one that I really like in that genre. Have you watched Tony Von Ryan's Express?
Doesn't ring a bell.
You should watch it. It's really good. It's about POWs in World War II escaping from a prisoner of war camp.
The movie title is Express or Von Ryan's Express?
Von Ryan's Express.
Okay. Yeah, I'll check it out. Mediocre, do you have any comments on Matt? Oh, he stepped away. I have not fallen. He says, have you checked into how hard Microsoft has taken a hit in this console generation? I have not.
No. I do own one. I bought, was it the Series X? Is it the Series X a new one? I just recently bought 2 of them. The reason why I bought them, strictly to play GTA 6, which was supposed to come out this year, but I guess it's not coming out till 2026.
Mediocre. Funny story, because I know you told me you used to repair consoles
I did.
for extra money. And I don't know if I told you, I have been in a factory in the Philippines where they had pallets and pallets, a warehouse full of, what was it? The Red Circle of Death.
Yep.
Oh, the Red Ring of Death. That was
Yeah,
right when I
you
got
guys-
out of high school.
I had a corporate job for 15 years before I retired, working for a high-tech Fortune 100 company. And I traveled all over the world doing product launch and product development and manufacturing, a bunch of different things. People think, I've never worked. Anyways, I was in a repair shop in the Philippines where all the Red Circle of Death got shipped to get repaired. Mediocre.
Oh,
If only they knew about you.
I mean, they weren't really hard to fix.
I know.
But it would void your warranty if you opened it and all that crap. But once you learned how to do it, you didn't give a shit about the warranty anyways. You just opened it and did it. Because you're not gonna have your Xbox. You send it back. That they were on. I don't know if they call it back order, but when you would send your Xbox out to get repaired, it would take you forever to get it back.
Yep. And I think every Xbox that my kids had eventually had that Red Circle of Death.
It was known for that. It was big time problem. Let me grab my beer real quick.
All right. I'm going to grab a second beer also, and then I'm going to go ahead and start playing Roaring Kitty. And be back in 2 seconds. No, 17 seconds.
So it's very important that you remain free cash flow or remain cash flow positive at the very least. And like they somehow found a way. They somehow found a way during Q2. Remember, we're not necessarily in the throes of the pandemic, but we're coming out of the pandemic. How the hell did they still generate over 190 million in operating cash flow? You know what I mean? Like even though it's a shit ton of it due to the merchandise inventories, right? They're selling off some inventory, right? So that was part of it, right? But nevertheless, this is the thing: is you need to get to the console refresh. You need to get there, okay? To even play in the game, you need to get there. So if that includes, and part of it, you need to sell off some inventory, especially if it's the more questionable inventory where we don't know what the valuation of it is, right? But also just to improve working capital management. You know what I mean? You need to improve inventory turns and stuff. So I mean, but even still, it's a huge number. We can pick apart what actual operating cash flow is. But nevertheless, with a company in this type of situation, I don't even care if it's GameStop. I don't care if it's an energy play, right? I got a lot of energy plays. Like if you can find a way.
Do you own any railroads?
Because we have to sell leaseback, right? You find a way.
Probably does, Tony.
Your might be to survive, and then the rest is gravy, right? If you can figure it out, you just need to get there. And I don't see how you can read these press releases and see these figures and think, oh, like bankruptcy or stuff, or that they're not even going to have an opportunity to reinvent themselves. That's a ridiculous take. There's going to be an opportunity there. It's not to say they're definitely going to pull it off, but they're going to get there. And like that super, super bare thesis where they're going to be a zero by year end or something like that, off the table. It's off the table. This is what I mean. They've had tons of levers to pull, and we're seeing them pull, lever pull. They're pulling them, and they're getting to that point. So these are I just wanted to touch on a couple of the high level things like that. Cash flow stood out to me. We got the sale leasebacks. Also, there's more cash than this on the books. One of those sale leasebacks didn't close until after the end of the quarter. So I calculate 780 million in cash. What's the book say? 735. This is my type of play. You know what I mean? It's like, this is a common play for like the Roaring Kitty portfolio, right? Because it's like, I got that downside protected, right? There's no guarantee of the upside, but you just have to really have that downside protected. This company has almost 800 million in cash and a market cap of 475. Well, if it does drop tomorrow, it'll be even lower. And then it fully covers their debt, and it's in a thriving industry that in theory could like ramp up in a big way over the next 2 years. That's not to say there's not the secular risk. Those are legitimate, right? But I just mean, this is my type of play. It's like, You don't even want to take like you can't envision them pulling this off. Even if there's a 20% chance of it, you're protected on the downside, right? You'd have to really think. I can't even entertain the idea that they're not going to generate any free cash flows over the 12 months. Like if people, oh sorry, lots of people are commenting. Like if people are thinking they're not going to generate any free cash flows over the next 12 months, like come show your work. You know what I mean? Show your work. I hope as I look at these comments, I hope there's people who disagree with me on here. I really, really hope that.
I like how he's excited
so many
about
people comment.
hearing
I don't know what to do.
things that might be an opposition to his thesis that he has to consider and think about, because he wants to heir the other side.
That's what's so beautiful about going back and listening to this. You hear how a real non-emotional investor is encouraging people to challenge his thesis versus what we're stuck with today in the GameStop community. It's night and day difference, night and day. And so the free cash flow on this quarter, I have another tab open here I'm looking at, was $192 million operating cash flow, 233 free cash flow. The next quarter they had a negative, then they had a positive, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 negative quarters in a row after that, getting us all the way into middle of 2022. So he's kind of in this beautiful window here, where this was a great quarter from a cash flow perspective.
What do I do? Do I start the analysis? Let me start reading the comments. Let's do this. Okay. Harsh, can you explain how the hardware shortages might have affected the revenue? Sure, they were running out of inventory, and they had less inventory to sell, and plus, and so that's part of it. So that's the thing; they still had almost $1 billion in revenue, right? But the exact figures, like I don't know the exact figures. Let me just see. Sorry, just scroll up. Yeah. Oh, that's 26 weeks. Yeah,
did we solve the echo problem?
So I
guess so.
I don't know the exact numbers as to how the hardware shortages might have affected it. I just think all I think is, all right, the hardware shortages impacted it. If you're a super short-term investor or trader or something like that, I don't know how you do it. There should be an explanation there, but I can't. I just think, all right, shortages, so that hurt them this quarter. It could even hurt them potentially next quarter. But it's that long-term thesis that I'm focused on in a quarterly shortage. A shortage of the consoles or even games or whatever, it's just, I view it as temporary. It's not a long-term thing necessarily. And the guy, it looks like there could be some Q3 headwinds, but this is a longer term. There's a longer-term thesis. So there's going to be twice as many games coming out with this console refresh. They could crush it in Q4 of this year, in Q1 thereafter. You know what I mean? I'm not too concerned about Q3, but if
that is also very typical of value investors. We're looking longer term. Like I posted a play in the Discord this morning or yesterday, I forget when, and I said I'm going to be spending the next week doing my DD on this company, but if you have a 5-year outlook, this could be a banger to start accumulating now.
And that's really the way to look at it, because like if you want to actually perform well in the market, you need to look long term, because if you're trying to look short term, like usually the problem I have with day trading is you're not going to beat these, companies that have direct fiber optic wires into the exchange. They're literally blocks away from the NYSE. You're not going to beat them. So the better way to look at it is the company on a long-term basis where everyone has the same playing field as far as getting into a position, analyzing the stock. Everyone has the same flow of information and the same ability to respond to it.
Yeah, I'm looking to be early on this blue chip, profitable, company that's been around for decades that is currently out of favor. I'm doing my DD, and I'll put a video out for you guys in a week or so when I'm done. And we'll watch it for the next 5 years. But I have a thesis around it, but I need to still do the due diligence to build it out, and it takes me that long to analyze a value play, because I know I'm going to be holding it a long time. Sometimes, I mean, I got lucky with a lot of the ones that I bought in September of last year. They ran up really, really quick.
But Tony, we do the same thing with AMC. Like, we're looking farther ahead.
Oh yeah, I mean, we're looking into 2026. We
Exactly.
understand the short-term risks, but we're looking at the long-term potential positives. You just got to have everything fall in place, right? You got to have everything fall in place between now and then.
You know, I don't think it's going to go to $1 million before then. You know what I mean? But I know, like, we're safe till January right now, right?
I'll be right back. I'm gonna let this play, but y'all can keep talking.
You got it.
Or do you want me to put it on pause for a second and just
No,
let
keep
you
going and be
continue
fine.
your thoughts?
Yeah, and just going. I was just going to say real quick that
Sorry, I
we're going
unplugged
to
my
make it
head.
to January regardless. That's all I was going to say. He already said what he said, and it doesn't matter. We're not talking about AMC.
All right, I'll be right back. I'm gonna hit play and we'll pick up.
Let's go.
This was a short-term trade for you. Yeah, I don't know. Can you give us more insights in your pre-owned resale business? Oh, the question. Yeah, so I will say, like the conference call, I feel like there could be more in the conference calls. I don't know if other people are going to say this too, but like I read the press release. We all read the press release, and then I listen to the conference call. And as someone long GameStop, I'm like, you always want a little bit more. And I did want a little bit more. I wanted a little bit more into. You see in my videos, I'm always talking about reinventing themselves and transforming shit and everything like that. Like I'm like perpetually wanting more on that front. And I like to think there's a reason we don't always get it, but I don't know. It would a little bit more transparency would be nice. I mean, the consoles. I keep on saying this. We're only a couple months away, which is both a good and it's like a good thing because we're right there. This upcoming catalyst, but it's like we need more of a plan. But at the same time, they're always testing stuff. They're experimenting with stuff, and I can respect. You don't want to nail yourself down too much to any particular pathway. Right now, they're very clearly focusing on like improving the omni-channel experience. Do I have that up, by the way? Oh yeah. Oh, I have it up. I pulled this up. I'm like, yep. They're really. It's great that I have this. They're very clearly focusing on the first two pillars. So you saw this in that GameStop video. If you saw it, like they're very clearly focused on optimizing the core business in this digital ecosystem, right? They need to have this. They need to have this good to go for the console refresh. Like you can't be messing around. Like there was mention of same day delivery, which is terrific. There's mention of this new app. Of course, it's 2020. I mean, you need to have an app, right? But a real sick app. You know what I mean? You ever use an app? Sometimes I'll use an app. I'll be like, damn. That's a sick ass app. It's real seamless. Like, yeah, I want to buy something else, right? So like, I mean, that's standard stuff that you should have. But we're coming up to the console, right? They need to get this in order ASAP, right? And remember, this management team has only been in place now, looking at like not even 18 months. It hasn't even been a year and a half. But so even still, I say that.
Corrects.
Mhm.
Are you there?
Yeah.
Can you read the 4 columns that the company has listed there?
Optimize core business to drive efficiency and effectiveness, build frictionless digital ecosystem for content and commerce, establish GameStop as a social and cultural hub for gaming, transform vendor and partner relationships for future of gaming.
So we're 4 years past where he was talking about this. How many of those do you think they have executed on, just in your opinion? This is just a pulse. I mean, and you guys can comment in the chat too. I'm just curious your thoughts.
I'd say none of them.
Really?
The one that I think is their best when they have these storefronts is that third one, establish GameStop as a social and cultural hub of gaming. I've always talked about this where I think they should expand the amount of offerings they have for their trading cards, have trading card events at their stores. You have a big national network. You could have your own national Pokemon tournament, your own national Magic tournament. You could establish yourself with the community. I think that's a big point that people forget, and they have so much opportunity that they could do with that one. And it pains me to not see it.
See, you say that you don't think they've really executed on all of them. My opinion, this is just my opinion, is they've executed on all of them except the one you mentioned. I think they have optimized their core business. I think they have built up and improved the digital ecosystem. I think I don't know enough about the vendor partner relationship, so I'm just looking
that
at
one is kind of in the background. It's hard to tell unless you have a really good pulse on the company.
I'm just looking at how the SG&A is being improved, and I imagine that has something to do with it. But then you got this push pull of, I mean, does that involve like dealing with the console manufacturers to keep a disc in the thing or not? But I think the one that I would say that they probably did not really hit on all 8 cylinders on was the one in black, establishing GameStop as a social and cultural hub. Now, I could be wrong because I'm not a a diehard member of the gaming community, but I'm curious for those of you that are gamers, if you feel in the comments, let me know if you feel that they have established themselves as the social and cultural hub of gaming. Mediocre, you got any thoughts?
Listen, I like GameStop. I'm trying to, but I'll say this. You can get games without leaving your home nowadays. You can get your console shipped right to your door. That hurts GameStop. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. I've said many times I was a card carrying GameStop member for
I was too.
all of the years that my kids were kids. And then,
You know how many nights I stayed out in front of the store with my
yeah,
kids?
I did the same thing. I remember, waiting in line for the latest World of Warcraft update and, go buy it before anybody else. But then there came a point where my kids stopped saying, "Can we go to GameStop?" They said, "Dad, can I get your credit card?" And I was like, "Why?" I need to download a game.
Exactly. And that is what the problem is.
All right, let's keep going.
But I still always want more on like these 2 pillars, right? Establish the social and cultural hub of gaming, vendor partnerships. I'm always looking for more. When I say I want more, it's these things. But they do need to take care of these first 2 things. And so I guess that's what I said. I was hoping for a little bit more. And then the Q&A too. So I would also like, it'd be nice to have some better questions, right? I don't know if someone says this.
I always ask that of any
listen,
fucking earnings
those
call.
Are your questions? Come on, get me on the call. I'll ask you some damn questions. If you're tuning in the stream and you're following GameStop, we know the questions to ask. You know what I mean? But these analysts, sometimes they're writing their own research reports. I don't really know what's going on there. But so I was hoping for a little bit more. I was hoping for better questions, more so than the answers. I wasn't too surprised by some of the answers by management. They did their best, and they're not going to give guidance on some of these things. It's real tough to give guidance in this environment. But you know what I mean? And especially they gave the Q3 guidance, which I mean, it's a little bit of headwinds. But in Q4 it's real messy. It's really tough to forecast that. So if you're thinking of a long-term play, put yourself in their shoes. And you're talking to long-term investors. What are you going to do? You can't get into specifics and stuff like that. But anyway, let me keep going.
Wait a minute. Put yourself in the executive shoes? How dare you suggest to put yourself in the executive shoes? Just give me my short squeeze. Short interest is 100%.
Tony, I wanted to say something. I want people to know something about me.
Yeah.
Number one, I'm not a fan of digital content, right? I believe in tangible things. So I was never for digital content to begin with.
I think most of the people from our generation are that way.
I'm the same way, mediocre.
Right. But that's going away, and there's nothing that we can do to stop that from happening. That is ultimately hurting GameStop, okay? So to think that I want to hurt GameStop, I'm just saying, I'm just talking out loud for people who want to say that kind of stuff. That's not true, okay? If I had my way, GameStop would sell every fucking game that was out on disc, and there would be no digital downloads. I would much prefer that to happen. I just wanted to say that.
I would, I'm okay doing digital updates, but I'd always like to have my media, on disc.
Exactly.
But I'm old school. And
it doesn't necessarily need to be on disc, but some sort of hard format where I feel like I actually am in possession of the
you own
item
something.
I paid for.
Right.
And that's why I think the third pillar is the most important one, because if you can get people to come to the store because they feel like they're a part of your company, they're a part of the experience, and that you are a part of their life, then they'll keep coming back. And maybe they won't buy video games, but they'll come in and they'll buy a console, or they'll come in and buy trading cards, or they'll come in and they'll buy whatever you're selling because you're a part of their life or their kids' lives.
But are you going to get your milk and eggs there, Corax?
Wow. Don't need to necessarily go that far, but yeah,
you see what I'm saying? No, we have to stay within the genre of the store.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying is they already sell trading cards. They already sell the hardware. I think that they could very well do a lot of stuff that would be considered gaming, maybe not video gaming, but that would fit within their target demographic as a specialty retailer that could drive people to be in the store, want to be a part of that. They have their whole the gamer membership thing that they have. They should leverage that to give people experiences. Hey, you want to come in and be with your friends and be part of a tournament? Well, if you have the membership card already, you get one free tournament or one free, you can have your friends come in and play D&D or whatever. Like, there's certain gaming experiences here that I feel are being left on the table that they could exploit.
I mean, I think there's a lot that they could do, but to sit here, not us, but just people that are out there talking about they don't need to do anything.
Yeah, I have a problem with that.
That's not necessarily true. I mean, I don't know. You want them to succeed? I kind of do.
Yeah.
All right, Tony, that's all I really want to say.
Q&A. Last quarter, you got a full year to be positive. Right, COVID, mobile app. Oh, sorry. I think you copy and pasted the quick Q&A. Okay. What the hell do you know then? This has to be the word. Oh, I don't know about I don't know if I agree with this, Harsh. This, he's saying that they don't have.
The guy's name was Harsh.
I don't know if I totally agree with that. I think you're like me, where you just were hoping for a bit more information on this stuff, and it's safe to say they're more dialed into the intricacies of the business itself than we are. We're just too removed. But I feel I get what you're saying. That you're just hoping for a little bit more and more clarity, but even if you get it, I'm not so sure that like the stock price pops or something like that. For the stock price to pop, like I've been saying on the stream, you need something substantive, like a major like share buybacks or something with Cohen or some major strategic partnership. That was really the only way you're gonna. Remember, this is some of the heaviest bearish sentiment that I've ever seen. Maybe you've ever seen as well. Have you? I mean, 100% short interest. And remember, like I said, it could be like 150, 200% short interest.
Just wait a couple months, buddy.
But
one of his videos after this is like GameStop short interest is 140%.
Bam! You need to drop some shit on people, right? Like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. And really, the only way you could blindside. And I'm not saying that they should have done this. I'm just saying, like, it's just really tough to satisfy everybody. And so, most importantly, you satisfy the long-term thinkers and just like, we're sticking to our game plan. This is the game plan. But you wouldn't need to share buybacks or some partnership, and no mention of Cohen or anything like that. But what the hell? We don't even know the management knows anything that's going on there, right? But I mean, I was hoping for more insight there, more strategic type stuff. And,
At this point, just for some context, for those of you who aren't familiar with the whole story, Ryan Cohen had already taken a more than 10% ownership stake, and Michael Burry was in GameStop at this point. So between yesterday when we watched his July video and here September, Burry and not Roaring Kitty, Ryan Cohen were involved.
Stuff, it's still kind of in the works. So, but I feel you, Harsh. I see where you're coming from. But I don't think it's fair to criticize them too harshly. I said this in my videos. I do feel as though they've been doing a good job. Remember, look at this balance, the strength of this balance sheet going into the console. We're right here. The console, we're months, the countdown is on. It's here. And look what they've done. Look what they've accomplished. I care about this balance. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the downside protection has been improving. There's a greater margin of safety. That's what I wanted the management team to do. And now we're getting to the place of, okay, now
margin of safety. Wow, talking Ben Graham stuff here, aren't we?
That can be a competitive advantage for a brick and mortar store to have that.
I'd like to hear more people talking about that.
If they pull that us off, that's huge. I don't know if anyone. And then you can even have like sorry, I'm rambling now. I apologize. But you can have like an Amazon Prime equivalent for game, like a brick and mortar store dedicated to this, and then you can have a subscription and all this stuff. I don't want to. Well, there's plenty of time for that. How many hours do we got? It's only 7:20. We're doing good. Okay, there's plenty of discussions to be had.
Sounds like us, Tony.
I know.
But most importantly, so there's all these opportunities, right? The opportunities abound. What I've been most concerned with, and many value investors who are tuning in feel this way, it's like get us to the show. Get us to the show, and then but along the way, be testing stuff, have some ideas. And yeah, it would be nice. It's September now. I've been saying this. It would be nice to have more of a game plan right now. And then they had the pandemic, right? That kind of interrupted some things too for a lot of retailers, not just GameStop. But but I'm satisfied with where we are on the downside. I'm so focused on the down. Everyone wants to focus on the upside. You know what I mean? It's important too. It's important for both the bearish argument and the bullish argument to consider the upside, right? It's hugely, hugely important. But from the value investing perspective, which is what I'm most focused on and assessing management's success so far, and they've done a good job. I think they've done a good job. But I'm not saying they're perfect, right? And I've said in the video, there's things I felt they could have done better, including maybe some more clarity on the conference calls. You know what I mean? I think
about the downside risk.
But I don't know.
It's a good company. The upside will come, but you got to make it there.
Oh, this is Hugo. What's up, Hugo? I heard that the guy Bank
That's something
America
we
told
talk
him that the
about
problem with Apple
Forex
was
in our
Fortnite
group.
could help
Now,
GameStop
you're not part of my
if they know how to
group,
get into
but
it. Yeah, that was interesting.
we
right?
talk
That
about
was,
downside risk all the time. I'm usually the one
they didn't touch on it much, right?
Up.
They kind of. I can't wait to reread the transcript. This is all from memory for all of us, right? Because I don't think there's a transcript out right now. Oh, maybe there's an audio file up, but. Yeah, it was the last question. Was it the last question? And they didn't dive too deep into it. But yeah, there could be a potential opportunity there. But I bet I bet Hugo is just too soon to dive into that right now. Excuse me.
I've asked that about deep fucking value too about Keith Gill. Is he like separated at birth from Vlad Tenev?
There is a similar look there. Free Gender says, I've hated GameStop for a long time because their resale prices are too high. They give you next to nothing for your trade-in. And do the woke culture. I will not be buying any more game systems. I don't know anything about the woke culture part of that comment. But as far as resale prices are too high and they give you next to nothing, they're trying to run a business. I get the frustration. I never sold them a game for the same reason. So I understand what you're saying there. I'd rather just hold the game and get a couple dollars back. But for some people, getting a couple dollars back is better than nothing, and they can apply it towards their next purchase. You guys have any thoughts?
I mean, yeah. Sometimes you have some smaller shops that'll give you a better cut, but they've also got to compete with GameStop. So
they dive deeper into. But indeed, I know what you're getting at, Hugo, and that's what I mean is like, we talk about so important the narrative, right? It's so important with this narrative, with this. Look at this sentiment. You know what I mean? Back out on this chart. Look at this shit. Look at this. This isn't even dividend adjusted. Look at, you got this, right? And then this chart. What I'm focusing on is this chart. We're from $50 down in the gutter down to $4, right? And then you pile the short interest on here. This is soup. People see this. They see the short interest, and they're really negative on the company, right? They see the year-over-year comps declining. The big declines, but we got a catalyst upcoming, right? So you don't look too much into that. But like, it's really important to change this narrative. You got to change the sentiment around that. And the part of the way you do that is by, I'm talking about that upside. Like, here's what we're gonna do, and that's the type of stuff that I'd like more of on the call. That was kind of missing. Is change that sentiment, change the narrative. Talk about this upside. But it's like they're so focused on these first couple pillars. It's almost like they're getting to the console refresh. But so I wish we had more of that. But like you mentioned that question, that's an opportunity to get the discussion going in that front.
He talks about the narrative because as much as we like to be about the numbers, and that's an important thing, it's what's going to move the company.
Because you see that, and then I'm like,
I've been reading a book recently called Narrative Economics, and a lot of what drives the average investor, the average people in the economy, is those narratives. And it's important that if you do have a company that is doing well, you need to market it well, because if the narrative remains stagnant, then you're going to be stuck with that problem.
Involved, I'm like, this is the type of guy, and you remember his website, right? Look at this shit. You got a website like this, and all his success, and you read all these articles about him. People care what this guy does. They care what he says. Maybe they need a little bit of a salesmanship of the company, salesmanship of the angle. I'm not saying that that's necessarily in their best interest or anything like that. But you listen to this conference call, I'm like, it's a little bit more of the same in that regard. It's like, let's get people jazzed up. You know what I mean? This is a sick opportunity to have here, even if it's going to take you a couple quarters to get into it. Let's get the discussion going. So. I did hear that question, Hugo, but there was plenty of opportunity in the conference call to talk about this stuff. But I think part of it is, I think they don't want to nail themselves down. I'm speculating here. I have no idea. I think they just don't want to nail themselves down to one particular path. But even still, right? The gaming's sick. You know what I mean? It's a huge industry. I don't know. Harsh. The only good thing about this is that we now most likely Cohen will buy more. We'll get another 13 deep.
Whatever happened to Harsh? I want to know where this guy is now.
Yeah.
Maybe he might add more. He didn't add any after hours today, did he? Oh, roll away.
Free Gender says, look up Stellar Blade censorship, Silent Hill 2 main character being made ugly. Also, the Mary Jane character in Spider-Man being made ugly. What was that? The blonde chick that was in Spider-Man. What was her name? Kirsten Dunst. Dunst, is that her name? You
Sounds
guys
familiar.
Yeah, not.
I'll pull it up on another tab here. Anyways, I was gonna say that Spider-Man female star. I'm not a big fan of her.
Yeah.
Stellar Blade censorship.
Okay, just check it. Yeah, he might. Let's get to keep an eye on this. Let's see if he adds, or really anyone adds. Right. We also saw Permit trim their position slightly. It was so small. It was so small that it could have just been rebalancing their position. GameStop, we'll get into that. GameStop's a huge position of Permit's portfolio. It was like 18% of the total portfolio, but they have one position that's gigantic. Wow. So it may have just been trimming, but even still, trimming before earnings, I was like, oh, really? Yeah. Okay. But anyway, so we definitely got to watch the filings these next couple weeks, just see if anything happens. But really, no mention of strategic type stuff. Forget Cohen just for a minute. Just not much of anything on that front. So it's like, all right, now we kind of gotta keep watching shit, see what happens. Oh yeah, what is this WAP? See, 687. What are we at right now? Just curious. 650. But you see this, the WAP. This is the volume weighted average price, 687. It's really not that. Really, tomorrow we got to see what it does tomorrow. I am super curious, even though I don't care about the short-term moves. It doesn't matter. I care more about how this quarter did, right? As hopefully most of you do as well. Unless you're a short-term trader, you're probably disappointed. You probably see this. You're like, oh, what a waste this was, right? Welcome to the GameStop show, my friends. But I'm
feel like that about a lot of my plays.
Right? You
welcome
right?
to hell.
Like, is this really gonna just
get comfortable?
You know, everything's a test.
We say welcome to the
really
suck.
Gonna retest this previous resistance because I'm gonna die laughing if it does. It's gonna be hilarious. Okay. Where was I going with this? Talk about
especially when you're trying to time the bottom on a value play.
King, I'm a layman on investing, but there is definitely a way GameStop could reinvent itself. Cheers, Ryan King. Cheers. That's right. That's Ryan King. Let me tell you something.
Every time
you're already one step ahead of many folks, I think, because I think some people are struggling to even imagine that GameStop can reinvent themselves. Right? No one's saying that's definitely going to happen, but you only get. Wait, do I have the? What is it? What is it right now?
I'm just noting Corex. He drinks way slower than me.
You only get this when no one can entertain this possibility, right? And it's like no.
It helps that he's the only one running the show, so there's no
drinking
breaks for.
Right? And but like. You can't even entertain the possibility. You can't assign a 10% probability to this, that they become like the go-to, the premier venue for gaming experiences.
Ever looked at this website,
so Ryan King, you're new to investing, but believe me, you got an edge over some folks who like can't get out from underneath.
It's in my
themselves.
financial tabs.
I'm not familiar with that site.
Yeah,
and this is important because everyone wants investing to be black and white. They want it to be black and white. GameStop is definitely going to be dead. GameStop is definitely going to reinvent itself and be a $10 billion company. It's going to 100, right? Unfortunately, that's not how life works. That ain't how shit works. There's gray area, and this is where investing comes in, right? Maybe this is obvious, but truly, it needs to be resaid. You do your best to assign probabilities to different outcomes, and you analyze the data, analyze the reports, analyze everything as best you can, and you assign probabilities.
Yes. That's what I think we're missing, Corex. Like in all of these meme stock plays, Mullen is definitely going to beat Tesla. What's your probability analysis on that? And, show your work.
I don't like giving 100%. But I would say it's a 99.9% surety that it will not.
I know. I'm just saying, like when I look on social media right now, everybody is so convinced their play. I just threw Mullen out there as a example. Everyone, the Super Bulls are so convinced that they're going to be right. Like I know that I'm going to be wrong on shit. I talk in my Discord about probability of stuff all the fucking time. Right, Mediocre? Are you still awake?
I am. I'm tired of shit though.
If you got to take off, that's fine. But we talk about probability, right?
Right.
Yes.
We talk about probability, and so it makes me feel good in the heart to see Keith Gill use the same fucking word, because all of your investments are probability analysis. How what is the probability that your thesis is right? And you can't be, I'm going to use Corex as talking point. What is it? The Dunning-Kruger?
Yeah.
You can't be so far up in the Dunning-Kruger chart that you can't even tell that your probability analysis is whack. Is that the scientific way to say it?
Yeah.
Your probability analysis is whack because you're delusional. But you know, I'm not trying to be mean to these people. They're not really delusional. They're just not very good at doing true financial fundamental analysis, and that's a learned skill set from either putting in years of work and studying or studying this stuff in school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and which I've done both.
Do it and come up with a weighted average probability model.
a way to fix
like,
that would be if they did
everyone's
a lot
assigning
more reading and a lot less talking.
Absolutely. I got a stack of books over there, and never stop reading, never stop learning. If there's one thing that my wife hates about me is that I can't shut my brain off. She's like, can't you just enjoy a movie? I mean, like on TV, she's like, can't you just watch the show? I'm like, but I'm trying to learn something here. It's for me to have a really, shut my brain off. I need to leave the state, leave my phone, leave my computer, and just be on a beach somewhere. Otherwise, I can't unplug. I can't unplug from trying to get better, to improve, to learn. It's a character flaw of myself.
Like a 0%, like a negative. I've been joking. They've been assigning a negative 20% probability to the fact they reinvent themselves, right? It's insane. So anyway, Ryan, I'm glad you can at least think about that. Keep an open mind about this stuff because it's important. Hugo, we have this month the pre-owned consoles. I don't know what you mean there, Hugo. But yeah, in general, this pre-owned, like being like when people are gonna upgrade to the new consoles, many people are gonna trade in their previous consoles, right? Do many people know that? And who's the go-to retailer for trading in your video game stuff? It's GameStop. And this is important, and I mentioned this in the video because it's important. It's going to drive traffic, and so you see, I can get my consoles anywhere. I can get my games anywhere. It's important to be the dedicated gamer. You're going to have maybe parents buying their children games or people who just want to get exclusive bundles. Like GameStop often has sick bundles for like Nintendo type stuff, and there's the new Switch coming out. Like, I'm rambling now, but I'm like, and just to have, there's a benefit to being dedicated to gaming on that front. But but in particular, pre-owned. People are going to trade in their shit. They're going to go to GameStop to do so. And remember, what is it? 60 million members, Rewards Plus member, or what is it? Oh, geez, I forget now. The Rewards members. Jordan, hey, what's up, Jordan?
Since he's talking about the reward members, if any of y'all know the number off the top of your head, or if you can Google it, pull up the latest 10Q. I want to know, because I don't know the answer. I don't follow GameStop every single day. How many reward members do they have in their latest 10Q? Can anybody answer that for me? Because it was in the 60. Huh? Correct. It was in the 60 millions in 2020. I'm just curious, did they stay flat, gain, or lose?
That's all they said. Very true. Next quarter, probably mildly weaker. Yeah, the quarterly stuff. We talked about the Q3 stuff. I mean, I know some people might be concerned.
Approximately
about
5.67 is a 2023. I don't know anything about this year though.
5.67.
No, 56.7.
Okay, so they lost maybe 5%. All right.
Yeah, really. I know this is maybe. I hope you don't think this is confirmation bias, but that we're here. With this balance sheet already, given what has transpired this past year, this has been, in my opinion, a decent year. These are terrible. These were intended. It was going to be terrible year-over-year comps, right? And if I scroll back up, what was it? It was like 12% or something once adjusted for their stores were closed. You know what I mean? Comp store sales declined 27% or 13%, adjusting for fewer store operating days due to store closures. Like, this is big. Like, it should have been way worse than this, right? So it's a little bit of a silver lining that gaming's thriving as much as it is. So anyway, these somewhat shitty months where it's a little bit.
This is something that I think people are minimizing for the upcoming Q1 earnings. Corex. He's talking about the comp store sales declining 12%. I'm going to pull up my spreadsheet for GameStop. I think that the numbers year over year for Q1 is negative 28%. And this is what bothers me when I hear the GameStop YouTubers right now saying, this is a fantastic quarter. I'm like, are you looking at the same numbers as me?
Well, I already had assumed, because I'm in a specialty retailer, as you know, from the last time we discussed Kirkland's. So I'm already looking at a situation now, because I looked at what got me interested was Q4 and in year end, where they had a Q4 profit that I thought was kind of unexpected given the retail outlook and the retail space in Q4 of last year. But I knew that as we get closer to their Q1 and on the 6th, that Q1's probably not gonna be good, because for all retail outlets, you have the big holiday sales in Q4, and then Q1's everyone's paying down their credit cards. And
yeah, I mean, we know that
buy.
Q1's always going to be bad. I'm not negging them on that.
No. But what I'm saying is like to your point, like people should maybe just temper their expectations just a smidge.
I mean, when I track the year over year, reductions and quarter to quarter reductions of sales, and 28% is it's the biggest ever. And so for someone to try and spin this as this is a great quarter, I'm not trying to hate on GameStop, but let's just be realistic. The numbers are what they are.
Yeah, and it goes back to, like, that's the reason why I'm thinking about trimming my position, just locking in the profits I have. And if Q1 ends up being better than I expected, I can always buy back in.
Wait, what position are on Kirkland?
Yeah.
All right, because you almost got me excited that you were long on GameStop for a second.
No, not yet. But like that's something that you should, like, since we're talking about value investing, if you got some profits from this run up, Q1's a big question mark. If you got some profits, go ahead and lock them in. If it's good, you can always get back in. If it's bad, well, you just saved yourself a lot of misery.
John wants us to talk about NVOS. We're not going to talk about other tickers tonight, but I did see a lot of NVOS on social media in the last 2 days. So I will check into it this weekend.
Rocky and everything like that, it doesn't phase me that well because it's lumpy. This industry, GameStop industry, is inherently lumpy. That's how it works. And you kind of need.
We're not going to get through this video tonight. I can tell. We're only 31 minutes into a 3-hour video.
Quarterly stuff. And things get pushed. Titles
if
get
he
pushed.
didn't talk so
the
fast,
earliest
I'd
they ever
almost
announced the
suggest
consoles
picking
and
him up to
everything.
1.25 or 1.5 speed. But he talks really fast.
Yeah, he talks really fast. Let's try it and see if we can still get what he's saying.
Tony,
So everything is delayed.
you guys mind if I pop off and just watch? I'm gonna grab some grub.
Of course not. Of course
I'm
not.
tired.
I'm feeling the best. 2 beers in, I'm feeling the best that I felt all day. Mediocre. I took that cold and flu medicine before we started the live, which I can now breathe. And the 2 beers is like killing all the aches and pains. So I understand you're tired. I just relaxed and rested all day, and you worked hard. So
I've been working hard all week. It's been a rough week.
watch until you fall asleep.
Hang in the background. I'm gonna mute and watch.
Whatever you miss, you can pick up tomorrow.
So you can't be too concerned with the intra-quarter type stuff. Steve, with you, Roaring Kitty, on the long-term thesis intact, glad to see this. Oh, I'm with you, Roaring Kitty, on the
that's not too bad. I'll put on
the long-term thesis intact. Glad to see the sale lease back and strong free cash flow. Bummer they couldn't even buy 1 million shares. Do you think there is restriction? Shit. So I know.
Oh, I watched.
I didn't think
he gets in a long discussion here about buying shares, which is interesting to hear his thoughts on it.
Likely, but I was hoping for it, right? For 2 reasons.
The company doing a share buyback. I mean,
is discount prices, right? They may never get back. I know some people are forecasting price is going to drop back down to like this area right here.
We talked about this a lot last night, Corex, and I don't know what your thoughts on it are, but I said last night I'd be very angry if any company is buying back shares when they're not at or below a fundamental value.
Right.
But we see in retail traders on every ticker imaginable, why is the CEO not buying back shares? Because, guys, they know what the fundamental value is.
Yep. Not that, but if you're in it, like he's talking about a situation here where the company is still solid, it's in a bad situation, but it's below fundamental value. They have cash on the balance sheet. It would make sense if they did some sort of buyback.
And the price is very close. It's undervalued. The price was undervalued at this time. So it would have made sense to do it.
But like when you're talking about doing it at the highs to support your bags, that's not good, especially when you see a lot of some of these blue chip companies. They make the mistake of leveraging up their balance sheet to do a buyback. And you don't want that if you're an investor, because that puts strain and risk on the company. They're taking on debt just to pump up the share price.
Or even worse, these money losing meme stocks where the price got run up in a short squeeze and then it starts coming back down. And then people are like, why won't they buy back shares? They're trying to dilute and raise money to fix their balance sheet. It would be stupid of them to do share buybacks. I'd get out of the play if I saw it. If I saw them wasting cash like that.
Or they'll try and do this like hoodwink trick thing where they'll say, they'll say that they'll open up a share buyback program. But
Hycroft did that. Hycroft announced a share buyback, but they didn't buy any back. It's fucking with retail.
Yeah, 100%.
It's a mental mind fuck. They're telling you we might do this, but they know that it's dumb to do it.
Yeah.
And I want to mind meld with you guys so you start thinking like an executive. When you're not bringing in revenue like a Hycroft, or you're losing money like a AMC, you are not thinking about doing share buybacks or paying dividends. And if you did it, it would be a fiduciary, what's the word?
Breach of fiduciary duty.
It would be a breach.
Damaging the company.
And this is what Bed Bath & Beyond did. They blew cash when the price was high, when they should have been conserving cash, doing share buybacks. And now the CEO is getting sued over it, and rightly so. Rightly so. So careful what you wish for, understand what you wish for, and understand why they're not doing it. And this is really what as a foundation of my channel, I want you guys to think like executives, or to kind of share my thoughts with you of how I think like them. Even though as a retail trader, I get it. It's not what you want to hear. You need to learn to think like them so you can be profitable in your trades and anticipate what's going to happen and what's not going to happen. Could they still do a share buyback? Could Hycroft do a share buyback? Hey, on a probability analysis, 95%. 95% no, they should not and will not do it. But
yeah,
could
maybe
they
down the road, a long way down the way, once they've gotten their operations going and everything. But for now, it makes no fucking sense.
Could they still do it anyways if they get desperate and they need the price to pump?
Yeah, sure.
Stranger things have happened.
For sure about that. Check out my tweets for why I don't think it's necessarily going to pull all the. This wasn't a bad enough quarter for it to sell off hard. That's why I'm kind of curious what it does tomorrow. Because if you were this short, you needed a worse quarter, in my opinion. But I think a lot of people were trading GameStop for this squeeze opportunity. Ryan Cohen, blah, blah, blah. I think a lot of people got in for the short term, and then they didn't get what they wanted, so they're selling off.
Talking about how Ryan Cohen has kind of changed the narrative
or
around
you're even hoping for a big
GameStop.
pullback for more share purchases. I'm not so sure you're going to get it.
Him buying in drove the price up from $4 or $5 to $7.
Like I said, that was one of the few things that they could do, and now it's dropping on people. But yeah, there was
that excitement.
But yeah, they didn't do any. They didn't do. So yeah, I don't know about a restriction. I've been saying that, Steve. Like, is there something I don't know or that we don't know that they can't do it? I didn't think so, but I don't know. It's conceivable. It's conceivable. And now there's it's also conceivable. I don't want to keep popping on these share buybacks too much, because I myself don't necessarily think they're likely, but I just think it would be hugely impactful. It would be immediately accretive to the value. That's why I think it's important to talk about that. But like, it's possible they bought in August where there was a ton of volume following Cohen, right? I mean, I'm not saying that they did this, but like Ryan, we need to entertain the possibility, right? Can we entertain? Can we just entertain it? Check out this volume over the
You could tell he really wanted it, but he didn't think they would
13,
do it.
14. So I'm not saying I still don't think it was likely, but they could have just done this shit in August. And this is part of some sort of plan. Like,
I have that are expectations that I think would be good, but I'm not going to get locked into that idea that the company will do it just because I wish it to be so.
All of us, including myself, hey, if a company does a share buyback and increases earnings per share and reduces the float, all of us can, as a retail trader, can say, oh yeah, this might give us a short-term pump, and we can all appreciate that. But when you have a company that needs to invest in its future or conserve cash like an AMC, invest in its future like a GameStop, I don't know that right now that's the best use of cash, buying back shares or paying a dividend.
liquidity picks up or anything like that, or there's more volume picks up, and they could have already done it. And maybe that was part of it. I have no idea. We know that they needed to get that bond exchange behind them. So I do think there was a restriction up until that bond exchange was done. But it was done in the first week of July or the second week in July. So they had a couple weeks. But I'll just point out, there was not much volume in July. So check this shit. I mean, look at how little that's what I mean. So you heard me mention on the stream, like I was buying in July because I couldn't, there was no volume. You started, it closed below 4 a couple times. There was so little volume that even if they wanted to do the buybacks, maybe it would have been difficult. But but even none, right? So to Steve's point, they bought back none. I'm like, they bought
That's
back
a good
nothing.
point that, if you don't have enough volume to support a buyback selling, then it's just going to.
I mean, yeah, I guess what he's saying, and I think you're saying the same thing, is they tried to do buybacks, they would have drove the price up because the volume's too low.
Or they just didn't have, if you have a really low volume and you go to try and do a share buyback, you just don't have enough buyers to really,
Oh, I see what you're saying. All right.
Well, I don't know. We shouldn't rule it out, but yeah, it's disappointing. But it's disappointing. It wasn't.
I mean, we're looking at like $1 million digits trading
that's
on
crazy. That's
on
crazy.
GameStop.
Low.
Its average volume right now is 22 million.
Let's say it stays 735. Who gives a shit? Even right now, I still believe GameStop is undervalued. Right. So like these are still cheap prices to buy back stock of GameStop. Like. So they haven't missed. They've missed maybe the low, right? But come on, we're value investors, right? You think we're gonna buy the low? You think we're gonna nail the low? Shit, do we ever do that? No.
No.
Nope.
What are we? I mean,
no, we know what our band of comfort is.
Was last year. That ain't shit.
We never nail the bottom perfectly.
What is it? Let's say it's at 650, right? 650. What? I don't know. 520. It's only 25% higher than it was when they did the buybacks last year. That ain't shit. If you think that there's tremendous upside, which hopefully this management team does, there's still plenty of opportunity to do the buybacks. I'm just saying. But indeed, at the discount prices would have been best. Okay. Oh shit. I know there's so many comments. I'll do my best. Sorry. What happens is I start responding, then I ramble. Right? I got so much shit to say. What is it? 7:35. Damn.
He said it's like 7 o'clock for the last hour.
Oh shit. I went too far. Okay. Hugo, I think Curtis Wolf and Paul Evans have improved the cash management. But they were. I think management team was already doing a good job of that. Maybe they had a positive impact. I have no idea, but I think the management team was doing a good job. Ming, honestly, why didn't they buy back stocks? I'm not sure, Ming. That's hugely disappointing. I wouldn't say hugely disappointed. It's disappointing because
it's funny to see him fielding the same complaints that I get. Like, why won't they buy back stock?
Of GameStop is higher than the prevailing stock price, right? That's when you buy back shares, when the value of the company, when it's trading at a sizable discount to
he
the
gives
value
the
of the
same
company.
answer I give, but people don't like the answer.
It's worthwhile to buy. I mean, the question for many people is GameStop's value higher than the prevailing stock price, or is it? Some people saying zero, right? I mean, I think that's ridiculous. I don't know how you look at this balance sheet and think it's a zero. They can pay out a dividend. No, I'm not saying. I'm just saying technically it's a. But so that's the question mark. What is the fair value of GameStop? I personally believe it's quite a bit higher than the prevailing price. So which means it's still a good time to buy back shares. So it's only mildly disappointing in that it would have been nice, but the game is early. The GameStop is early. Oh, geez, terrible. So only somewhat disappointing. Hugo, I think they were expecting that Q2 make the share go down, but the buy of Ryan Coe would make the price go up, and they couldn't buy back shares. Shit, Hugo, maybe. maybe they thought that. Hey, are we getting the stock price to rise? Sick. Did we just get? I'm kidding, right? Yeah, maybe they thought that they was gonna sell off on this, and Ryan Cohen screwed shit up, right? And maybe I don't know. Part of me wonders if some of this is like, not that they're sandbagging on with some grand plan or something, but they're like, all right, let's just drag our feet on like hugely positive. Now I'm not so sure that's the case, but like maybe Hugo, maybe they were like, we get the bond exchange behind us, then we're gonna drop quarterly earnings. The blackout period's gonna end, then they're gonna boom, 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 eat up all the shares. Maybe, I don't know. And then Ryan Cohen got involved, and then it got bid up. But that'd be a bummer if that was the plan. Shit. No, yeah, Ming's laughing at that too, right?
Hey, correct. I think we're going to stop at about the half-hour mark.
Things to be a lot worse than it is. The only reason stock is down after hours is because of a slight miss. The immediate reaction, tons of cash on hand, only up from here, in my opinion. Well, I agree with you, Daily. Really, we shouldn't be too worried about the after-hours action. This is noise. This is nothing. I say this, but I feel like let's refresh this. Here's the after-hours action. What are we at? 686 right now. This is a nothing move. If you're long, if you're a trader, you're frustrated by this perhaps because you're hoping for a squeeze or something. So you didn't get it. Those people sell, but like it's like you needed more than this. Can you imagine being short? I can't imagine being on the other side of the street. I can't imagine being short. I mean, I can imagine not being long GameStop. I get it. I can even because if you're short, you kind of need stuff to happen. You know, what are you gonna? You betting on like bankruptcy 10 years down the line, 5 years down the line, 3 years down the line. Like you need stuff to happen in a somewhat of a timely fashion, right? That timing's important. I'll talk about that sometime during the streams.
Correct. So would you agree that anybody short right now GameStop thinking it's going bankrupt is just a straight up idiot?
Yeah, I would not. Like the only time that I short GameStop is when I see these rallies and I think it's getting away from fundamental value.
Right.
And I see it collapsing down, or I see these huge volumes come in on options, and I see this kind of gamma pump, and I know that by the end of the week, it's not going to be able to support itself. But if you're making a short position based on GameStop, it's going to be is going bankrupt. It's got too much cash on its balance sheet.
Yeah, I posted this on Twitter last week. Like, there's zero for me bankruptcy thesis to back up shorting GameStop. So the only, if I'm not a short seller, but the only way that it would make sense to short it GameStop was if it got run up far above the current fundamental value.
And you have to understand that Roaring Kitty is also talking about a wholly different era of ZERP, or we were down pretty much close to ZERP if we weren't at ZERP at this point. So you legitimately have a cost to borrow that you can't just set in treasuries and cover, or get a cash sweep and cover on. So when he talks about, if you're in a short position, you need some sort of price movement or something to happen to make, your position work out. It's even more right than it is now. Yeah. Whereas I can set in a play for almost forever and wait for it to play out because I know my cost to borrow is going to be covered by the cash sweep.
Yep. That's a good point.
You needed a lot worse than what you got. This is my take, but what the hell do I know? I feel like I've been taking crazy pills for a year now, in the stock, like I keep seeing positive fundamental developments, and then the stock price don't give a shit with Roaring Kitty. Forget Roaring Kitty, who gives a shit? And then I think I'm not so much take issue, or I don't think it's crazy to be short GameStop. But how do you be short with this backdrop of everything that I mentioned in my tweets? But 100% short interest. You know what I mean? That's what I like. I don't understand. How could you ever? I've never been this confident. Has anyone ever been this confident in a position? Like the inverse, maybe on the long side, like maybe people respond. I apologize. I see all these comments, but like I'm never this confident. I'm never this confident about a position on the short side.
Remember positions I've been in where I'm like that.
Like, I won't say never, but
crazy because
it's very rare to see.
I'm so hyped about this company. It's so cheap, and I've gotten in at a great price. Why can't anyone else see what I'm seeing? I must be fucking crazy.
My tweets. When I juxtapose my bullishness and like Burry's and presumably Cohen's, because I don't know, Cohen hasn't said anything about that. But when you juxtapose it with this, I don't understand. That's why I make those joke tweets. I'm like, beep, beep, boop, 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 boop. I'm trying to talk to the robots, because the humans out there, how could you keep this short on? Maybe up to, I keep on saying like 20, 30, 40% short interest, maybe because of the secular risks. But 120%, I keep on thinking it's like robots that don't know what they're doing and like that they're focused on the road. I mean, so far, it's not like it's worked out. I don't take a victory lap. I just can't, I'm having a hard time understanding.
Underestimating human irrationality.
But I guess to unwind it, let's see what the price action. This is what I'm kind of curious about, this price action, because I'm of the opinion. Here's my thesis on this short shit, is that I think a good chunk of this is weekends. Like it's like some automated, whether it's just automated. First of all, this is above my pay grade. I don't know shit.
By weekends, does he mean paper hands?
Algorithms, all this stuff. I just think there could be some type of trading model that's looking at the different metrics of GameStop. And I've mentioned how Burry's talked about people misinterpreting the new financial statements because of the leases and stuff. I don't understand how people could do that. But let's say they are, and the GameStop looks more indebted, and then they see that, I don't know, there's so many different metrics that you could home in on and get the wrong idea. You get the wrong story if you're analyzing GameStop, and it causes you to short more. But if you're a rational human being, if you're just a reasonable human being and you look at this stuff.
See, there's your problem.
Oh yeah, well yeah.
Most human beings aren't rational; they're emotional.
I think he was talking there, where Burry was talking about people are misunderstanding the leases. Do you know about ASC 842 Corex?
No.
So in the first quarter of 2019, accounting change got handed down where all companies had to take lease liabilities and put them on the books as a liability.
That makes sense.
So when you see AMC's balance sheet, if you go back to 2016, when they did those 3 acquisitions, the corporate debt went up for 3 years. And then in 2019, first quarter, you notice this other huge step up.
Yeah.
That was an accounting change. And it makes the balance sheet look horrible. And that's a favorite troll comment. AMC's got $10 billion in debt. It's a lease. It's a lease payment. But due to ASC 842, I think is the right one, that you have to put 5 years of lease liabilities on the balance sheet as long-term liability. And so that, I think that's what he's talking about here. People might be misinterpreting and being overly negative on GameStop's liabilities because, I mean, they were fresh. This was still in 2020. That accounting change had just happened in the last year, and it might have made their balance sheet look even worse.
And messed with sentiment.
Right. So if you weren't familiar with that, and you're a bear, and you're just like, oh, this balance sheet sucks.
Yeah.
But and I don't think a lot of I keep on talking about that because I don't think I think that a lot of people blame Adam Aaron for increasing the debt boom and boom, and not realizing that some of that was just an accounting rule. It's not as bad as people try and make it out to be.
It might not work out, but I'm not 100% sure, 150% sure, whatever it is. Like I just can't I can't put myself in this. This is why I want more like really negative people on GameStop to chat about. Hopefully more people talk about it.
Oh my God, a
release.
person
GameStop
doing
will
a
get more
finance
bears,
channel that wants contradicting opinions.
Wait,
Holy shit.
Let me rewind that.
Wow.
I missed it.
Get the wrong idea. You get the wrong story if you're analyzing GameStop, and it causes you to short more. But if you're a rational human being, if you're just a reasonable human being, and you look at this stuff, you think, oh yeah, well yeah, it might not work out, but I'm not 100% sure, 150% sure, whatever it is. Like I just can't I can't put myself in this. This is why I want more like really negative people on GameStop to chat about. Hopefully more people talk about it following this release. If GameStop sells off, we'll get more bears like taking victory.
Wow. Did he just say that?
He did. Can we get some more people like him right now? Not like 4 years ago, like right now, because we desperately need them. I want to hear what the other side thinks about this situation, because I'd sure like to hear it.
You know what I've noticed? If somebody has a bearish comment or a counter argument, instead of having a dialogue in any ticker, and you know all of them, Corex, I'm not just picking on GameStop, it becomes, how can I personally discredit this person?
Yeah.
How can I dox them?
How can I go find their Facebook and take all their pictures?
How can I insult them?
Flash them all across Twitter?
Right. I mean, this is a true gentleman. This is a true financial scholar right here that is encouraging debate. And I'm sure if I debated him, not that I would, because he was right back then, but I'm sure if I would, he wouldn't have, talked shit about my wife or my family or my career. He would have said, well, I hear your points. Here's how I disagree.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. It's interesting.
Amazing how if you have an open discussion between two opposing opinions, truth is revealed.
Yeah.
Victory laps, you know what I mean? Like, oh, we knew, even though the chart looks terrific, if it only pulls back to 650, that's great news. But like, I just can't, I'm having a hard time putting myself in the human being who sees this setup and thinks, you know what? Yeah. That's a good trade. Yeah, let me keep on shorting this shit more and more. I think, oh no, it's just really risky.
I could be best friends with this guy in real life.
I agree. So my what I was looking for in this press release,
get a beer with him,
because really this short interest is kind of the story. How are not more people talking about this? By the way, it doesn't kind of seem like there should be more articles about this, like especially with Cohen. Even though I didn't expect Cohen to be talking about it too much right now, I thought some of these websites were going to talk about this more, that this is more of a story, but no one seems to give a shit. And so I feel like, and Scott Preston said this in his article back in February, that like people are sleeping on this, both the Bulls and the Bears, like people have fallen asleep on this. And that's why I was curious about this quarterly too, because they could have totally fallen asleep. And if they did announce something amazing on this quarter, people could have been caught off guard. They still might, but I'm surprised that there's not more people talking about this stuff. But anyway, when I was reading this press release, I'm like, all right, let's see what the shorts got. Let's see what they got.
He certainly has no shortage of things to say, does he?
I'm like, 800 million.
Yeah, I wish I could fill time like he does.
I think, no, the shorts aren't crazy, but this short position. And so, but I can't find it. Not everything was gravy, right? The gross margin was down a little bit. And I mean, there was a loss, even though I'm focused more on the cash flow statement.
Talent for not only wanting to learn more,
I don't know. I just didn't see that would substantiate a much larger move than this. But anyway, let me keep moving. Ming, I have a question for y'all. What do you think about Microsoft Digital S at $299? Oh, I'm curious about people's take on Digital S too. Well, what else did you say? I'm worried about digital acceleration if Sony has to match their digital-only console at the same price. Oh, did Sony announce today? I know there was a potential, there's a rumor they were going to announce. Hey, I wasn't too impressed with that Digital S. Did anyone have any thoughts on that? That looked.
I want to skip ahead to getting back to the
managing costs,
financials.
So if you're going to have, like I said, it's lumpy. It's lumpy on the top line, on the revenue side of things, on the bottom line, on the profitability, and in the middle too, on the gross profits. It's lumpy. That's how it is. That's the nature of it. Sometimes you're going to have.
He's talking about lumpy, like different quarters have different revenue.
You see all this.
Especially when you're a specialty retailer like
this. There's going to be even more free cash flow generated, yes, still because of the new consoles and everything like that. But there's going to be a shit ton of people trading in shit in November and December, January, and GameStop makes a lot. They have fatter margins on those trade-ins, so I just expect that to pick up even more. Ming said GameStop should have pumped up this quarter, squeezed the short to the moon, then issue more stocks and say $50 and get a bill.
Ming was an original.
Forecast of the future to come.
Pump it to the moon.
So one thing I'll say, and I think I mentioned this.
Where
on
you
one of
at,
the streams,
Ming?
It's a good. I don't know. You say pump up. The connotation of pump up is like it's almost
Hopefully
like it's temporary,
Ming's
right?
on a
Like,
beach
I'll
in
just say this, and
Cabo
this
or
is why I was a
something
little bit
these
weird of
days.
people critiquing those investors who have been long games that were trying to get board seats, right? Who they were trying to say do share buybacks, blah blah blah. But like a higher share price is a good thing. It's a good thing. Yes, you don't want it to be temporary, but right now, like this was good that GameStop was already up. Where are we? Like at $7 before these earnings. Now he pulls back, whatever. But like a higher share price is good for the narrative. And you might say, who cares about the narrative, right? But then it success begets success. I was saying that reflexivity, right? Like the stock price goes up, people are talking about, oh, this is a good thing. There's GameStop's looking up, they turn themselves around, and then people start bidding up the price. And I highly doubt they would actually issue shares, Ming. Remember they got $800 million in cash right now. But your point still stands. That like I wish they would do a better job of talking about the narrative and stuff, just to get. I mean, people want the share price to rise.
What's that?
At the numbers. He's really about the numbers and about the fundamental value of the business, but also understanding that you need that catalyst, that narrative that changes sentiment, that gets you that value that's missing in this company. And how I find it a lot. Like I talk with a lot of people and I tell them that, stock investing is an art and a science. The science is understanding and finding fair value and undervalued companies and things like that. But the art is the unknown. People are irrational beings as much as we like to pretend we're super rational. And so you got to have both kind of converge at the same time, an undervalued company, and then people having that sentiment change. And he understands that. I understand that I'm looking at this company and it's a great thing, but something needs to change here. Otherwise it's just going to stay where it's at.
Yeah. I feel like that's where AMC is at, right? There's the art and the science. The science, we can look at the financials right now and we know they're shit. Mm-hmm. But the art is there is positive sentiment, and can that sentiment stay there until the science equation changes? And really the unknown for AMC is, will the science equation change? Will box office get there? Will box office get there in time before people run out of sentiment?
Yep.
But yeah, I like that. I might steal that. Corrects the art and the science.
Right, so they can make money. I get that, right? But I'm just trying to set aside making money from an investment standpoint for just a moment. But if you can get your share price to rise for your company, it's a good thing, because like all this stuff, it just can help change that narrative. It can help people get interested. It's important too for a company like GameStop to get the interest of like institutions, of not just hedge funds, right? But like mutual funds and endowments and all this. And to do that, they need to change the narrative. You need to change that belief that GameStop's just going to make a couple of years of free cash flow or whatever it is and do whatever they're going to do. And it needs to be like.
Did you hear what he just said? You need to get the interest of institutions.
Yep.
I want to, again, mind meld with people. Like, people think if retail owns the float, that is a great thing. And I don't know that I agree with that.
Retail's pretty flighty.
Well, this is my take on it. It's not because retail's flighty, but I think he's alluding to a point of which is the same way that I view the situation. If institutions are investing, then they see the forward-looking value there.
It helps change some of the sentiment narrative, and
they already know that the risk is out of the way. The majority of the risk.
Mm-hmm.
So if you ever get to a point like in a GameStop or an AMC where you see institutions starting to load up, and I'm not talking about a Vanguard where it's just an index ETF. It's
hedge funds.
Yeah, Vanguard and BlackRock, forget about it. They're ETFs. That's their investment.
They buy a select slot, and they're always going to have weighted averages based on their indexing.
You want me to talk about, Vanguard increased their ownership in AMC by 8% this quarter.
Yeah, sure.
How many videos have you ever seen? How often have you ever seen me tweet that or talk about it? Never, because I understand what ETF rebalancing is, and too many people don't understand that. But when we start seeing independent hedge funds or institutions coming on board and retail's ownership becoming less, that is actually a good thing. Having retail own 80% to me means institutions are avoiding the stock. Why are they avoiding it?
Because the science doesn't add up for them.
The risk is too high. So I just want to kind of play devil's advocate of Is retail owning the float a good thing or a bad thing? I could make easily an argument that retail owning it means that institutions are avoiding it, and you should think about that question. Why are they avoiding it?
Like, not that they're going to the moon.
I'm
But
talking about
this is where we're
AMC,
going. This is
by
what
the
we're
way.
going to do. We're going to crush it. We're in a sick industry, and we're going to test this, test that. I know I've already said how they probably don't want to nail themselves down, but you know what I mean. Like, say some stuff to get the price firmer. You know what I mean? I don't mean like a temporary squeeze or anything like that. I mean just like a rising price will help you get support, and then it kind of struggles. But it's important to remember, it's not about the. This is the thing. But now we're like 3 or 4 quarters into this. But they've been dealing with a lot of shit with the pandemic. That's the thing. It's kind of impacted my outlook on some of these things, because it kind of changes things. Management's doing their best to navigate this, I mean, unprecedented situation, right? But nevertheless, I just think would have been nice to like talk up the upside, even without giving too much in this the way of specifics, because you get a firmer price and it sticks around. This is why it's good that the chart looks good. I still think it's going to catch people's attention. I was actually pretty surprised how little chatter there was about this weekend. You saw me mention, what was it, Friday on Twitter? I'm like, people are going to see this and they're going to see that, they're going to see this. I'm like, no one gives a shit. No one cares. No one cares.
Is he doing a logarithmic chart
saying,
there?
No one cares right now.
Looks
And
like
that kind of
log.
gave me some. I was kind of like, all right, so maybe this is the really early stages. No one gives a shit yet.
It's funny the
it's
debate
good
that
to
goes on
have some
versus
positive momentum. It
of,
can help. It can
log
it can-
versus
I
not
don't really
log.
I'll frequently
use
pull up the
log.
Tesla chart,
Like,
right?
I'm just.
Oh
guess
yeah,
I'm
Tesla's
weird.
pulling
I
back.
don't know.
Oh yeah. Oh, it bounced back today. But like, Tesla's a good example. I have no idea what the long-term future is for a Tesla or anything like that. But talking about Elon Musk, this guy might will. I have no idea.
All right,
He
I
may
don't want to
will
hear
his
about
company. He may
Tesla.
will it
Let's skip forward.
full quarter, but we're still not quite at the con. He might not. They get private. He probably have a PE backing. We have no reason to think that right now, but it's technically possible, right? Always got to keep in mind about.
He talked about PE backing last night too.
Hugo says, I
Correct.
that
I
too.
thought
What
you
I've
might
seen
think
is
that
Paul
was
Levinson
funny.
getting in contact with
He's
Ryan
like,
Cohen
you know,
business,
you never know.
only
Private
GME
equity
Amazon
might
revenue
buy
more than
GameStop.
40%, so I hope he makes something. That's what
Ah.
yeah. Might be able to make it work with GameStop too.
I'm
So
glad
even
I
if
wasn't
like
the
some people
only
been
one
talking about
thinking
what's
that.
going to be his involvement, I have no idea, right? We don't know. We
See,
didn't
that
get
was
any
kind of
more
a
until
bull
today.
thesis back
But
then.
seems like
Wow.
Would you
he's
call
got an
Ryan
advisory role,
Cohen
maybe he
private
gets a seat on
equity?
the board. In theory, he could take it private.
I mean,
He'd probably have
yeah.
a PE backing. We have no reason to
he
think
has
that
his
right now.
own-
but it's
Here
technically
he's
possible,
talking
right?
about
Always
it
gotta
here.
Keep an open mind about what's possible.
But
You
we know
certainly
they
wouldn't
didn't
want
go
them
that
to be
route.
taken
They
private at
didn't
200
take it
discounted
private.
price,
So.
but you got to consider it. Like if they were bought out at $10 a
I
share, that would be a
honestly think if
disappointment
it
for, I
did
assume,
go
for many shareholders.
private,
But
I don't think
those
Ryan
funds,
wanted
like
to
the,
take it private. I thought he
like
wanted
the
to go
larger
in
like
and
Vanguards and stuff.
you
But they
see
still
a
have a good chunk
cheap
of the shares.
company,
So,
you fix it
but from
up, and then you
Yeah.
find
from
someone who
regular
buys
world
it.
Yeah,
shareholders, there's still
absolutely. He
tremendous
wants to
upside here,
transform
but
it.
maybe Cohen's making a move. You know what I mean? I don't know. So who knows what's the best move right now? I don't know, but I like the optionality.
It's just funny to hear him talking
Art
about
said,
private equity and not
e-commerce sales
calling it a
includes pick up from the store
conspiracy.
or web order from the store.
He
On top of that, they don't
he
have to go to the
he,
store,
he
so
actually
people
understands how
are
private
basically
equity
forced to buy
works.
online.
Look,
I was actually looking
if
forward to
someone
even
wants to
higher
buy
e-commerce
my
sales, even higher
$2
than
Kirk
800%.
shares at $4 to $6 off of me, I will take that 1 to 2 bagger
And
all day long.
And if
2 to
they
2
made a
bagger.
bad bet and that was 30% of their
Not my
portfolio-
problem. I got their money.
Right. But I mean, I actually understand how private equity works. They're constantly looking for deals. They have money flowing in. They got to put it to work. And they know like 30 or 40% of what they buy, whatever percentage is not going to pan out.
Yeah.
But they have it built into their portfolio. We know this much is going to make us buku and this much is not going to work out. But
And I
it's
think
funny to hear me talking. It's funny to hear people talking about private equity, that private equity wants to bankrupt every company that they buy.
Why?
Like
They
you
wouldn't make any money.
right. You fucking don't understand how Wall Street
And
or
I
private
think a
equity
lot of where
works.
that narrative comes from is that people are so short-sighted. A lot of these, like you talk about your Toys R Us, these things, you have to understand when the buyout happened. The buyout happened in what was it, 05, 06 with Toys R Us, and then a little something happened called the Great Financial fucking Crisis.
Well, yeah,
like,
a lot of these businesses were failing or struggling to begin with before private equity came in. Private
And then
equity was
you
hoping to scoop up a
add
deal
in a
and fix it, and it
depression.
didn't work out.
Yeah, you add in a depression, and suddenly things fucking change.
Yeah, but I mean, private equity is in business to make money. They're not in business to bankrupt companies, but they already know when they sign every deal, there's a chance it might go sideways on them. And for some reason, some people only want to focus on the ones that fail. I'd like to see a connect the dots on private equity successes. How about that? Maybe you can take your channel in that direction, Corex.
Yeah, because wasn't it much higher back? Wasn't much
There's a
higher?
channel
like,
called
was it like
Company Man. He
15%?
does
Or there's an
like
article about
the
that?
rise,
But,
the
right now it's
fall,
20% of
the
sales, right?
the
Like,
rise,
hopefully
the
that-
fall, and rise again of companies. And some of them are that go private and things like that. So
It's funny when you have a preconceived notion how you can connect dots that completely match your preconceived notion, but
Yeah,
sometimes you
and
need to
it's
step back
using
and
free-
understand
free
we live in a
form.
capitalistic society, and your
Mhm.
dots don't make any fucking sense.
Well, and you can make any dot connections you want to with any sort of conspiratorial thing. So when you got that cognitive dissonance going, that preconceived notion, and you're not following the facts, you're not following the evidence, you're just trying to create whatever narrative you want to. Look, I get it. There's a big market for these loose change conspiracy theorist channels, but it doesn't mean that reality has to comply with your stupidity.
In 10 years, when my son is deep in the world of private equity investment banking, I hope I have him on as a guest to explain how we were all so wrong about private equity connecting the dots.
Maybe we can do that with your son, and I can cash in that trivial boon from Doug Sifu for a drink in Manhattan. We can all
Yeah, there you go. By the way, just for anybody checking in and wondering what I'm talking about, my son is he's in college. He's in a 5-year program to get bachelor's. I think it's a bachelor's in accounting and a master's in finance, or vice versa. Here at the business school here at UT Austin. So he's done internships in New York for a real estate.
Wow.
Not a hedge fund. It was a private equity firm. Private equity. Imagine that.
Whew.
And he's going to be in San Francisco, in California. And I think he is working for a hedge fund in this coming summer. And these are all, I don't deal with his finding internships. He's a fucking go-getter. He's already interviewing for jobs.
Oh yeah, he's your kid. You're a pretty good go-getter. I see where he got it from.
He's already interviewing for jobs in New York for after he graduates, which is still 2 years away. But all of his internships had nothing to do with me. He just goes and does because he's a smart kid. And I asked him, I said, "Do you want to be an accountant?" He's like, "No, I want to do investment banking." So I don't think he's going to, I don't know that he'll work. I don't know if he'll work for private equity or hedge fund, but something related to investment banking is kind of where he's at right now. But it has none of it. I just want to be clear. None of it has anything other to do with me other than me just standing on the sidelines and being proud. Being a proud dad. And he's a straight A fucking student too.
That number keeps growing. But it's a good move in the right direction. Yeah, I wish this figure were higher. I wish it was I wish e-commerce sales were 50%, right? And then you also hopefully they get to that point. But it's a step in the right direction. We always want more. We always want more perpetually. But yeah, I don't know. Let's hope with the nice app of the same day delivery that gets this flowing too. I don't really have any numbers in my mind, but shit, I'd like the more e-commerce sales, the better, right? To complement the brick and mortar store. I would really love for those to be. That's the thing. That's why that's a big reason why this console refresh is so important, right? The free cash flows, right? But like shit like this, like let's test out some stuff, like the same store delivery, like a Prime equivalent for GameStop. In-store experiences, whatever the hell they look like. Just pick out a couple of the Tulsa ones. Just test this shit out because you got to test it out now.
So I don't know if you know, Corax,
really
the Tulsa concepts.
Yes.
They did a partnership with the Dallas Cowboys where I just saw
Really?
pictures where they were doing an esports tournament type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they also had some Tulsa game store concepts where, much like you were saying, Dungeons and Dragons, they had like a board. They had a table in the middle of the store with 4 or 5 people sitting around it. It looked like they were playing. I mean, I'm just imagining.
40K.
I was imagining they were playing Dungeons and Dragons, but I don't know what it was. It wasn't electronics.
Mm-hmm. It's either probably Dungeons or Dragons or Warhammer 40K. That's also
I mean, I was a D&D guy back in the day in the 80s. So I
think that's a much better direction because I remember when this was all kicking off around 2021 when I finally became aware, after the squeeze happened, unfortunately. But like I saw the Tulsa store, and me as in my gamer mind was like, oh wow, cool. It's like LAN parties and everything. But that route of having like the gaming events with like your computers or your consoles, the more I looked at that situation and looked at where the gaming environment was going, I don't think that was the right way. But that path that you just described is more what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Have these bigger format stores like some of the places that I used to when I was in Fayetteville, like Gear, where you had your storefront and you sold the gaming books, you sold your trading cards and everything, but you had this open space to do like trading card tournaments Or if the LARP wants to come by to do their Vampire the Masquerade, you can have it over there in the corner, and they can pay you fees to rent out the space, and just all sorts of different ways to play with what you're doing. It's gonna be a lot harder to do in the malls, but in like the freestanding GameStops, you could do that.
I'm going to have to look up and see what the results of all those Tulsa test stores were, because I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Just like that prime equivalent type model, or yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, and neither did they, but it's important. Get ready for November, and I think that's what they're focused on right now. So that's right. Yeah, there's room here for the e-commerce sales to improve even more. Daryl Vitor, hey, cheers, Daryl, welcome. Bear thesis for past year. GME shorts believe the risk that Microsoft and Sony would do away with the optical disk drives. No, so Daryl, that was kaput in 2019. We've known that. But I mean, to your point's valid though, right? Your point's valid is that at least back in the day, bears have been against us. They're not gonna have optical drives. No one's gonna buy discs. But like, we've even known that they're gonna have disc optical drives. People still don't give a shit.
You know how you can get rid of that thesis altogether. Is if they've got this almost 2 billion almost now after that recent offering they had.
Yeah,
clear that that's always been my big thing I've been hammering on ever since I've looked at GameStop. Is like I because I haven't done it because I haven't had the time, but I really want to do like a GameStop video, going and looking at the stores, looking at what, like, as someone who's been in that retail space, and looking at what I look for compared to some of the gaming stores that I've seen. Like 50% of GameStop stores is still the physical media. And now they've added DVDs or Blu-rays or whatever the heck. That's going in the opposite direction of where I would see a GameStop going. Clear all that shit out. Put stuff that actually like sells in there.
Yeah,
like,
I'm not the person to comment on that, because if we go into a GameStop, it's after a movie and my wife buys a plushie toy,
Yeah. But I think to that point of that bear thesis, I think it would definitely help sentiment more if Ryan Cohen got on the horn and said, we're starting to remodel our stores, we're clearing out all the physical media, and we're going to replace it with other stuff that gamers want. It could be the Polshies like you talked about. It could be the D&D figurines or the game books, trading cards, opening up our space so we can have tournaments, doing all these things. And I bet you it would have an explosive effect on people's sentiment for the company.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept. You basically make the store like a magnet to bring them back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Millions of people still want discs, and that's Microsoft saying it. You know what I mean? I always laugh at that one, because it's like people say no one buys discs, no one wants discs. I'm like, yeah, they do. But right, so Daryl, like, that's their.
Do you know how old Keith Gill is? I mean, I know he's not as old as me. He's probably here in his 30s.
Yeah, well, he's probably closer to my age. Yeah, I could believe that.
Bear thesis.
I'm 35.
And then Daryl said full DLC inevitability and slow loss to digital sales eventually undergoes GME's used game segment. Question then, isn't that exactly what's playing out? Oh, but this is the thing, Daryl. So looking out, it depends what your time frame is. If you're looking out like 10 years, perhaps. But in the meantime, there could be a ton of free cash flow that could be generated in addition to what's currently on their balance sheet, almost 800 million in cash. Is that they reinvent themselves, right? That's a critical part of the bull thesis. But yes, so that's what people are betting, Daryl, is that people, number one, probably maybe they don't think GameStop's going to generate that much in free cash flow this cycle, which I don't think that's a particularly strong argument personally, because physical is still quite relevant, and GameStop sells other stuff besides those physical discs. Is going to get people in the door. They can sell bundles. I know that that's not necessarily the high margin type stuff, but there's plenty of opportunity that suggests they're going to generate enough free cash flow that the downsides. But this is why the bear thesis. So I talk about the bear thesis really concerning me, right? So there's the shortage just because it speaks to their conviction.
About high margins. Most of retail,
I think I said this on one of my streams. Like the downside protection. Like you not only need.
You kind of just.
Oh yeah, I said this on one of my videos. You're betting on like obsolescence, that the business model is no longer relevant, but also management incompetence. Like, you need to bet that they're going to generate this free cash flow, and then they're going to lose it. They're going to waste it. But in theory, they could pay out a damn dividend. I'm not saying that they're going to do that, or that they should do that, blah blah blah. But if you got 500 million in cash on the books, let's say that's all. Let's say your balance sheet, that's all it has is 500 million in the book, just for simplicity's sake. Like, how do you short the company if it's already at 500 million free cash flow? Like, what the hell are you betting on? What are you betting on? So, not you, Daryl, right? I appreciate you mentioning these points, because this gets us talking about that bear side. But so that's the thing, is that that's the point, is that the DLC stuff, we're moving in that direction, and that it's slowly GameStop's going to lose share, and that's fair. But there's this opportunity for GameStop to reinvent itself, and that's the bear thesis. So in addition to what you're saying, Daryl, They're thinking that GameStop, maybe they do generate some free cash flow. They won't generate that much, but even what they do generate, they're going to waste on what's going to turn out to be fruitless endeavors to reinvent themselves. That's the bear thesis. But I think I like I was talking about optionality. I like optionality, and GameStop has that in spades. But this is the thing, Daryl. Like, how can you be 100%? Not you. But are you 100% sure that they can't reinvent themselves and this year that even in the meantime, let's say you're
I
right.
still don't think that they like. I'm
I
still
keep on
even
saying
as someone who's more bearish on GameStop. I still think they can reinvent themselves. They got so much money and so much things they can do. They just
right now, I
have
mean,
struck out on the things they've tried to do. But I like that's the thing about GameStop is like people paint me as this fucking hater, and my only frustration is there's so much potential here, and they just
yeah.
and it's too expensive, and I don't want to take the risk at this price that they'll find the thing finally. But man, that
we started out
here.
Before we started out watching his video, we probably talked about like for 45 minutes. And I wanted to make sure you guys understand, if you're just joining in, you didn't hear that. Much like what you're saying, Corex, I don't hate GameStop, and they're at a pivotal moment where the potential has never been higher. But as a value investor myself, I don't want you to think because I'm looking at the financials and the fundamentals that I hate the company. I haven't heard anything from the company yet that changes my thesis.
That's the other problem is like Ryan Cohen's been deathly fucking silent.
Right. The fact that they don't tell us anything worries me. So the fact that I don't know anything, I can only go by the data I have. And I mean, I can look at the numbers and I can tell you the numbers are very much in line with what the analysts say. But I will grant you, and this is the exciting part, is that the potential energy in this play by having $2 billion and no debt is
Matt. Yes.
It's
if
potentially a game
say
changer.
what they're doing, if they would just say something, fucking anything.
It's potentially a game changer, and you could skyrocket this stock on sentiment if they would communicate a plan. And maybe I'll be in that lucky place where I got some shares cheap before they communicated the plan, and maybe I won't. It's okay. It's okay either way. And if you were in and I wasn't, and they communicate the plan, I'll still, I'll pop a champagne for you. I'm not betting against anybody. I'm just being very conservative about my own choices.
And I would say on that same point, a lot of these GameStop YouTubers cry and complain about, well, why do the YouTube channels that follow AMC get more interaction? Why do the Twitter AMC folks get so much interaction? It's because their CEO and the company engages with the community. If Ryan Cohen activated the latent people who are excited about GameStop, man, that would be a game changer, I think.
Yeah, I owned GameStop up until the last earnings call. You know that, right, Corex?
No, I didn't.
I owned GameStop. I've been trading it for, trading, not buy and hold, for the last 18, 20 months. And I had bought on the dips prior to the last earnings, and I sold about 2 minutes before the market closed on their earnings day, while our friend was, dancing in his astronaut helmet. Why did I do that? Why do you guys think I did that? Because there was no call. And I'm not emotionally tied to this play. I'm just a pragmatic person. I'm looking at the numbers, and I know that when a management team doesn't have a call, it's probably not going to be very good.
Well, I don't think it's even that it wasn't like it could be or wasn't very good. Like Ryan Cohen has been like this for a while, and it's been my complaint, and I've voiced it on my channel several times, is that he is used to playing the private equity game where he owns a company. He doesn't have shareholders he's responsible to tell shit to. He just does his plan. If it works out, cool. If it doesn't work out, we move on. We work together to get the next plan going. That's what he did with Chewy before he sold it off and all this stuff. But you're playing a different game now, Ryan. You're in a public company.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Want to know what you're doing.
I don't get it.
When you don't communicate with them, that's what chased Reggie Fils-Aimé off. He wasn't communicating with Reggie, and Reggie would have been such a great asset. You're talking about the former president of Nintendo of America who was willing to work with you to get ideas. It would have been so great for GameStop. And you chased him the fuck off because you wouldn't talk to him.
They could still surprise in June with like some announcement and not have a call. Like there's always that option, right?
Yeah.
There's
I-
always that
It'd be so
unknown.
much better options if they just said something.
Yeah, but just have a call and tell us about it. Like, why release it in a press release? Why can't you do a call? Give us some guidance. That's the other thing. The biggest gripe I have is I can't ever forecast what this company is going to do because like
There's no
every other
guidance.
company I'm invested in or every other company I'm thinking about investing in, what do I get?
You get
Forward guidance.
statements.
I get forward guidance and I don't get that from GameStop. So that just as an investor makes me very nervous.
Yeah.
It's
It
not
made sense during COVID when it was really hard to predict things, but now we're out of COVID, well out of COVID. What's going on, boys?
the only thing I can think, and this is just the pessimist in me, is
hmm
they don't want to have the call or give forward guidance because they know it's going to be bad guidance.
Yeah. I try to be a little charitable and say it's mostly just Cohen just does he's playing the private equity game. I don't need to tell people what's going on.
Well, I never thought of it that way, but I understand what you're saying.
hmm
Has Ryan ever had a call?
From the like I haven't been following GameStop close enough to be able to say, but like from at least from the time he's taken over as CEO, there's not been a call. I know that much.
Almost all of my trades in the last couple of years on GameStop have been buy on the lows a couple months before earnings, hold it for a few weeks or months, and then sell right into the earnings run up.
Yeah.
I almost never hold them through earnings.
That has been like the sort of opposite of my game plan. Like maybe I should get on to do like the sweep long like you do. But my thing has always been watching the write up that happens when you have the earnings drift up, and then I wait till earnings, get a small position, capture the downside, and take a like couple $20 bills, and then move on with my life.
My wife just got home, but she found a beer I've been looking for for a while. Like how long we've been looking for this beer, babe? A couple months? Huh? How long we've been looking for this beer?
Yeah, like 3 months.
So my son, as one of his business school projects was, they were doing case studies on businesses, and his little group decided they were going to pick a local Austin brewery and help figure out how to market their products. And the brewery that they picked was Blue Owl Brewing. And they make something called sour mashed. I don't even know that beer is the right word because it's not a beer.
So you guys sort of like a fruit kind of.
Yeah. So there was, they have a lot of different, it's not quite cidery, but it's not beer. It's not made from hops and grain. But there was this one flavor that my wife just found.
Oh,
thank you. Sour blackberry streusel.
That sounds delicious. Oh my goodness! I'm gonna
on the side. What?
I'll play this back.
Why don't you come on camera and show us?
No. Let's read that.
Read this. Okay. It says seasonal beer with blackberry, brown sugar, cinnamon, milk, sugar, salt, and vanilla. 5% alcohol by volume. All right. Well, this is.
I'm gonna play this.
I don't even need it cold, babe. This one's empty, so we're just gonna do it live.
You're gonna do it live.
We're gonna do it live.
I'm gonna have to play this back later so I can find that for myself. That sounds delicious.
This is their logo, Blue Owl. And I forget their other. Hey, babe, do you remember what other flavors they have? It's so hard to find here. They have an IPA, right?
I don't know. But they have a sour Indian Pale Ale. They have.
She doesn't remember.
Other ones, yeah.
Yeah, but look up Blue Owl Brewing, and if you have a mega store in your area, let's see what that.
Hey, I got a LARP coming up next month. Maybe I'll make a extended sojourn through Arkansas down to Texas and then back up.
Yeah, come on down. I'm always happy to meet any of you guys. Let's see what this tastes like. I don't know if it's going to be good or
The
not.
Tony
But
De Niro taste test.
I mean, I used to do live streams where we would taste test different beers. I don't know if you knew
Ooh.
that. And the sour ale or the sour, I'm just going to call it a sour ale. It's a very acquired taste.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna smack you like, what the fuck is this?
Well, I like a good tart or a good sour, so that might be up my alley.
Now this is, I don't know where she went shopping. This is almost room temperature. It would be better cold, but you definitely can get the blackberry streusel taste coming through.
Mm-hmm.
I just like, trying different stuff. This wouldn't be my everyday.
Definitely.
It wouldn't be my everyday go-to. I've been drinking Voodoo Ranger Imperial before we got to this one, but yeah, I mean that is a very good drink, and for a hot Texas summer day,
Mm-hmm.
One of these ice cold, I could see that sitting out on the deck.
That's what I like, is a good crisp like cider or a crisp beer that like on a hot day that's just refreshing. All the humidity melts away.
Yeah, cider is very popular here. We have a lot of cider breweries. It's not really my thing, but my wife always is buying the cider. I'm like, can you just buy me a Miller Lite? I'll have a Miller Lite over a cider. All right. Six Sun says, Tony, could you make a video about NVIDIA and Palantir? Yeah, I have made some videos on Palantir. I'm way overdue on an update.
I should probably do an update so I can piss off the Palantir people even more again.
And as far as NVIDIA, what I'm going to say is I have an upcoming video I'm working on, but it's not going to be about NVIDIA. It's going to be about what is the contra play to NVIDIA, because I think that NVIDIA might be getting up there in price to a point where I don't want to buy it.
Yeah.
So when that happens, I don't like buying something at top, Six Sun. I start looking for what is out of favor in that segment right now that I can get really cheap if I have a 2, 3, 5 year outlook. So that video, I don't know that I'll do an NVIDIA video. And I have
a sneaking suspicion Intel might be involved with that time horizon.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have friends that are execs at NVIDIA, and that's all I'm going to say. I'm just going to say I'm probably not going to do a video on NVIDIA. All right, let's keep going here for a few more minutes. Are you good, Corex?
Yeah.
Talking about the short. Let's say the shorts are right that GameStop was like a 0 in 5 years or 10 years. You know what I mean? Like in the meantime, what if the stock price goes 4x or 5x? Because a little bit of a squeeze, right? There's the risk that GameStop doesn't reinvent itself. No shit. Talk about the risk that there's a little bit of a squeeze here that gets the price flowing. This is what I
like
mean.
how he's talking about a little bit of a squeeze, 4 or 5x. He is not
like get to like.
He's not getting out of hand with.
He didn't say to the moon.
Yeah.
9, 10, 12. I bet this is speculation, pure speculation, that all of a sudden this bear thesis is going to die down a bit. Like, yeah, maybe they could reinvent themselves, but they do get the free cash flow, so I'm going to close my short position. In that the short position is going to collapse.
He has, I mean, just in general, very realistic trading expectations, which is what I love about him.
From like 100, 110%, whatever the hell it is, down to
which also makes me question why the fuck didn't he sell when it ran up to 400?
I think he got kind of caught up in it. Like
I think he did.
People...
It's easy to do as a YouTuber.
Mm-hmm.
Like 40% or 30%. Like
that's why as we progress through this, I'm curious to see how his mentality changed. This is. I also
think that's why he disappeared too, because he started to self-realize. He's like, I need to check out of the Hotel California here.
I came on board, after the GameStop squeeze in January. That's when I started paying attention. I was like, I was watching it happen, and I was in shock. And I wasn't really watching him at that time. Of course, I've watched, I've gone back.
I remember back late 2020, that's when I sort of became aware of it, when I heard in passing, GameStop got back up to like $20. I'm like, who's buying GameStop?
Yeah,
fucking $20.
As a value investor, a more fundamental, old school guy, I was like thinking the same thing. This is never going to. And then it went all the way up to what it went to. And I was like, holy fuck. I need to start paying attention to this retail community, get out of my old school ways, because there are opportunities here, and we've cashed in on a lot of those opportunities. But it is interesting to hear his old school views on this stuff. And I do wonder, as we progress through this will be a multi-segment series, how we see his mentality change. I think it'll be fascinating. And I wonder if we'll ever get to the point where he talks about billions of synthetic shares and naked shorts.
I don't think that'll happen. I think we
Much
can
more
be safe
reasonable
on
figure.
that one.
Watch. Well, this is my bet. Is that it's the price. There's nothing that drives the narrative like price. It's hilarious. I mean, I'm not saying it's necessarily going to happen in this case, but I've seen it happen with so many stocks. Oh, it's going to zero. It's going to zero. This thing's dead. And then the price turns, and then all of a sudden the bears go quiet, and the stock price goes boom, 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 and then they go, all right, okay, so there's something here. It feels like it changes overnight. That's why it kind of feels like it's a little bit happening with GameStop. I feel like we're kind of experiencing it real time. And I suspect that this bear thesis that Daryl's talking about here, that it's still relevant. I don't mean it's irrelevant or that it's wrong, but like it's going to be downplayed. Like, yeah, but in the meantime, GameStop's going to have quite a bit of free cash flow. Also, look at the strength of that balance sheet. Maybe they can make something work here. Maybe they'll be like a Best Buy. Like the discussion will just change. I think it's hilarious. I mean, not as GameStop long so much, but maybe from a psychology perspective. You know what I mean? Anyway, thanks for tossing that in there, Daryl. Trey Daniel, did you hear the announcement of the new mobile app? Yes. So sorry, I'm just catching up. New mobile app sounds sick. I know Ryan said that too. I can't wait to see. I don't know what. I think he said it's
I don't
gonna be done
remember
within a
there
month or
being
something
like
that. I forget what they said.
You know anything
but,
about
I'm excited
that,
for
Tony? A mobile app?
I just want to test it out.
No.
See how it goes. Like I said, sometimes you
Where
use an
that
app, you're like,
went,
oh
yeah.
shit, sick. This is dope. And
'Cause that would have been pretty
hopefully,
cool, I
if you
think.
enjoy using it, the
Be a
gamers
good
enjoy
way
using
to
it. We'll see.
connect
It's not
with
like a
your community,
game-changing
get
thing or anything like that. It's
coupons,
an app. You know what I mean?
or
It's just an app, but even still,
hey,
this is
we're
what I'm
doing
talking
this
about,
event
I
at the
keep-
store.
I know I'm just
Come
clicking
hang
around
out
here, but, like,
with
they're
us.
prepping. They
Definitely
they want-
that
they
establishing
understand the
a
importance of reinventing
culture
stuff.
hub
Blah,
for
blah, blah. Oh,
gaming.
check this. Does this work? Oh yeah, look at that. Sick. All right. I always tell people that's just ridiculous.
With the kitty cat.
But they want to be ready to run. So like that app's gonna be dope. All right. Harsh says.
What did I miss?
I'm a sucker from when
Look at that.
YouTubers.
Oh, yeah, the
Look at
kitty
that.
cat
It's
mouse.
Because it's ridiculous.
He was very proud of that.
But like they want to be ready to run. So like that app's gonna be dope. All right. Harsh says shorts are stupid. Harsh ain't mincing words. Harsh has had enough. Shorts are stupid. Harsh is gonna rip management to shreds and all this other stuff. Harsh like, nah, shorts are stupid. To have their money invested in here with so much GME having so much cash, they could invest their money somewhere else and make more money. Why keep staying short of GameStop? That's what I'm saying, Harsh. What the hell? I don't understand. Yeah, I agree with you. It's insane. It's insane. And maybe there's a problem. Maybe if it does go down tomorrow, I'm not even convinced it's gonna go down tomorrow. It could go green tomorrow. Like it's one of those type of plays where if it doesn't go down 20%, it goes up, and like the shorts start freaking out. They go, "Oh shit, it didn't go down as much as I hope." Remember, they're gonna see the chart too. And then if it hits the previous. I know this is technical analysis. I don't know how many technical analysts we have in here, but I'm a value investor. Hopefully, you're a deep value investor at that. You can see it in my other videos, but like I pay attention to this stuff, and I always think it's funny when it works out according to what the books would suggest. But if you're short, right, and it doesn't sell off 20% tomorrow, like you kind of need it to, don't you? And if it doesn't, and it starts running, so this is what I mean. And then if it doesn't, and then you can see the price get bid up tomorrow. I'm not saying that's going to happen. That's not a prediction. But watch it. There's only 2 million. What did we say? How many shares after hours? It was only 1.6 million. That ain't shit. I'm sorry, but that's nothing. You always hear me say how this after hours.
Did he say that ain't shit?
Shits and giggles.
Yeah.
So when it's down,
he has the technical analysis acumen that I do. It's like, well, if I'm looking at these moving averages and where the price has been before, I can kind of see what's going on here, but I'm not going to like
no matter what happens tomorrow, let's see what happens by the end of the month. This monkey stuff is important. Like what happens over the long term. You know what I mean? Anyway, to your point, Harsh, yeah, they're insane. I don't understand. Maybe they're gonna be right, and I'm gonna look like a fool. I'm fully prepared for that. I'm not saying I'm definitely right. The longs are definitely right. I'm just saying I think I have. Maybe Harsh, it sounds like you agree with this. If you're calling them stupid, I think I feel I am more confident that this is a bad trade. That going short GameStop with the current level of short trades is a bad trade. That going long I already said that this stream, but that going long is a good trade. You know what I mean? Like
that's a big thing that I think people miss a lot. Is like when you're short, you have to kind of, because there's infinite risk to the upside, you have to be always cognizant of things like this. And as much as like we talk about as longs, you know, being aware of short theses or being aware of counter theories, you have to be even more aware of your surroundings if you're short a company.
That's why I don't short, because like that unlimited risk fucking shit scares me.
Mm-hmm. That's why it's really, really small is how I handle it. But like, it's like, it just goes to show how irrational this whole situation was. You had to have like a accumulation of all these different factors that created all of this. It's just, just looking back on it, it's interesting from just a historical perspective of it.
I mean, I look, Corex, you and I look at a lot of the a lot of the same stocks. I know because I see you on Twitter, and a lot of them like a Mullen. Like I understand how that'd be an easy short, right? They're doing they're doing infinite dilution or a MMTLP. I understand how that would be an easy short. BBIG. When you can read the filings and see the dilution the company has planned and how bad their balance sheet is and no income, that's it's a pretty reasonable short. But you still never know when retail is going to pile in despite all of the evidence because they're not looking at it and drive the price up. And that got to make some
especially
of these
on those stocks because they're deceptively illiquid.
Yeah.
Like a lot of these retail plays that I've noticed that are big short squeeze plays. I'll tell you right now, as a retail short seller, they're really hard to get into because Fidelity is my broker. And usually Fidelity has pretty good liquidity when it comes to names. I can get in and out of AMC or GameStop or any of these bigger names anytime I want to. But these like names like MMTLP, a lot of these ETFs that they usually get their locates from don't want these garbo fucking companies. They're underweight on a lot of these. And so if you're looking for a locate as a short seller, it's like they don't have any locates for me. What do I want to fucking do?
Have you ever looked into how easy it is to short something like a Finger?
I have tried shorting Finger on its run up several times. I've been told by Fidelity to go fuck myself.
Like they don't have any shares to loan you?
Don't have any. You can tell because when you look at it on Active Trader Pro, it says call Fidelity.
Okay. So, I mean, but according to what we're being told, they're being shorted billions of synthetic shares.
That's when as someone, it really helps once you've seen it from the avenue of a short seller,
right?
How hard it is on these stocks to get a short, and suddenly that narrative just falls the fuck apart. And a lot of these people, you have to go to a specialty broker for a lot of these shitco companies to get locates because the retail investors don't have enough to activate, share lending. And none of these ETFs or any of these major investors want to hold this shit bag. So where are you getting your locates?
Yeah, and that exists. I'm not
see it in the short interest.
I'm not a short seller, but I have had short sellers in my Discord who are telling me they're shorting X, Y, or Z. And so I asked them questions, and I've learned that like a lot of these stocks aren't anywhere near as easy to short as people think.
Yes, 100%. You know what? If you could find me some locates for Finger, I'd love to short it. But to date, Finger, MMAT, Mullen, any of these fucking shitco companies, Fidelity can't find me any locates.
That's where I started changing how I view this whole thing. Because I think that is a big problem with retail. Like if you have not shorted or you don't have a friend who is a short seller, even if it's just another retail trader.
Yeah.
You might have a skewed perspective, which has been shaped by this bubble of social media. You might not actually understand what is going on or the issues that people are having shorting something.
Yep.
You might be being told, yeah, it's easy. They're just shorting billions of them. But when the reality is quite different.
Yeah, for sure.
And
especially the shorts can't close. It's like, I'll tell you right now, I can snap my fingers and short GameStop, and I can snap my fingers and unshort it.
That I know.
Yeah, everyone that.
What they say is shorts are scared.
It's the other end of that narrative.
They're scared to close because they have billions of naked shorts, and that would drive the price up. But that's not a narrative on my channel, so I can't get in those discussions. I don't do the billions of fake shares thing. I just don't. And I haven't heard Roaring Kitty ever talk about it either. He talks about the known short interest.
Mm-hmm.
And the higher it is, the higher the known short interest is, the more excited I get. But I don't need to talk about billions of synthetics because the actual evidence is, as I look at the financials, I understand why they're being shorted. And there's plenty of shares available and the cost to borrow is usually low. So
And to bring in a different thing to that is like high short interest and a negative enterprise value. Those are two things that are good to like see if you're looking for certain things, but you also have to be careful because like if you have like a negative enterprise value, yeah, it's under the actual value of the assets of the company if it was to be liquidated, but sometimes there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
Just like if there's if there's a high short interest, it's like, wow, there's an opportunity here, but there could be a very good reason for that.
I know. I always tell people if the short interest is very high, that means you need to spend extra work deciding if you really want to go long on this stock. Like, why are they so willing to short it? And if you can find something like Roaring Kitty did here, where the shorts were clearly wrong. I don't even know. I mean, I don't even know at this point in the journey of watching Roaring Kitty if the shorts were wrong or this dude got lucky. We'll get to it in coming segments, but I'm just saying that,
usually it's somewhere in the middle.
Talking to shorts, not that I talk to them every day, but just, once a quarter and I ask them, hey, can you check on this ticker and see if it's easy to short? He's like, oh yeah, this is easy to short, or no, I can't fucking get any shares. It's kind of opened my eyes to a lot of what I see on social media was not correct. And so then I had to get much more picky about what is a safe entry if I'm going long. Like if it's not hard to short, then maybe I need to be more careful because they could drive the price down lower easily. But if it is hard to short, then maybe I lever up my bet a little bit on the long side, because if we get an edge, we could fuck them over real quick.
Yeah.
But at any rate, in any of those plays, if it's a play where we're talking about we got a lot of shorts, I'm already like realizing this is a high risk play, and I'm not mortgaging my house or trading in my 401k. I'm talking a small percentage of my portfolio always. And that is another place where people went really wrong.
People keep missing out on is risk management. It's just as much about protecting your portfolio as it is making money.
Yeah. Well, I think I want to keep going through this, Corax, but I don't want to be here all night. And
right.
We could do 10 segments on this, and I'd love to have you back if you're, you're free on a future one. I might take tomorrow off from doing an evening live stream, but
cool. Maybe you can hang out with us for our regular Saturday show.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You got a live stream. So check out.
Yes.
We'll be going over tomorrow.
We're going to be going over the MMTLP Mark Bazile lawsuit in Florida, dealing with TradeStation and some other eccentric figures. The lineup keeps changing because things keep happening, but Mr. Ethan decided he was going to threaten to sue me, so I figure I'm going to have to.
What's he want to sue you over now?
Defamation. He couldn't identify how I defamed him, which I find hilarious, but
Yeah, I mean the whole MMTLP thing, I mostly stay out of those. I said my piece. I said my piece on MMTLP when it was at $10 or $12.
Yeah.
And if I
was,
and
of course, you're looking at it from like the actual stock ticker side, where I'm looking at it from the lawsuit side. Well, I've seen these people come in and try and exploit it for views, clicks, and money.
That I was just leading into saying that. Like, I don't really want to get involved in day to day, like bagging on MMTLP people. Like they're already down.
Right, for sure.
The Bed Bath and Beyond people, they're down. They lost all their money. I just don't participate in those. However, the legal, what happens after that with Bed Bath and Beyond, I'll watch PP Seeds every now and then just to see, what's up on the dockets. And I'll watch your channel every now and then to see what's up on the dockets, because that is a fascinating little sideshow.
Yeah.
In all of these retail plays. And so far for, pretty much all of them, it has never really worked out, but maybe one of them will. So yeah, I'll check in on you tomorrow.
And if you want to, if you're interested, like Tony is, in some of these docket things to whet your appetite, as it were, I do have the last live stream I did on my channel, where me and Platinum Sparkles go over the Ryan Cohen. He made a motion in opposition of class certification in the pump and dump lawsuit against him. And there's some juicy things there in the filing that he made about the disparaging comments the plaintiffs made towards retail investors. Something. I believe it was ape mongrels or something like that.
Yeah, I saw something about that on social media. I think this is important, for retail investors because, a lot of these plays that we're participating in, a lot of them are going to end up in bankruptcy. Like Mullen's probably the next one.
They put out a
And
warning that if they don't get a fresh line of cash, it could be in a month.
yeah. So I just think that, like, if you're counting on a lawsuit saving you, because I mean, there were people that told me when they asked me, what would you do if you're in MMTLP right now, when it was at $12, I said, I'd get the fuck
Get out.
I told them then the shorts do not have to cover, and you're going to be stuck with the stock you can't trade. And they told me I'm okay with that. They
ain't so okay with it now, are they?
I mean, the video's still up. The videos are still there. They got so mad at me. I lost hundreds of subscribers, and I had to block people because I told them to sell into the run up. It's like the same story over and over in every ticker. If you tell someone to take a profit, they hate you. And that's what's happened to me.
You're a traitor.
In AMC and GameStop. But I was like, I'm looking at the filings, and you're going to get fucked in about 30 days. And so you should probably sell. And they're like, I'll take it to court if I got to. I mean, they were proud. They were, motherfucker, I will take it to
court. Out working out for you now.
Yeah, this is the problem. This is why I want retail to pay attention to these lawsuits, because it's probably not going to go the way that you want. If you don't think that these companies already have this all planned out and have an out for everything, I think you're sorely mistaken, unless there was true corruption.
I have a perfect quote that I think sums up our philosophy about investing, about taking profits while you got them, especially if you're heading into a run, this huge run up you didn't expect. Things are looking bad in the future. It's a Herm Edwards quote from when he was the coach of the New York Jets. You play to win the game. You play to win the game.
Yeah, the problem is, Corex, is who the YouTubers were on MMTLP back then, and they were telling them $1,000 a share. And I'm sitting here, I'm on my live streams just talking about any other ticker, and they come in and ask me, what would you do with MMTLP? I was like, $1 to $10, I'd sell that fucker. Yeah. Look at the filings. You're about to get wrecked. But the bird lady told me it's going to 1,000. Tony, you just don't understand the value of the asset. I was like,
all those people are not in a courtroom answering for the things that they told retail investors is beyond me.
Here's the exact words I use. And again, the videos are still up. The market knows how to value things. If MMTLP was worth $1,000, the market would have already bid it up to that. Yep. I mean, this is a cold, hard truth, guys. The market is what, Corex?
It is a short-term voting machine and a long-term weighing machine.
Yes, that's what I was going for. The market is a weighing machine, and if the market is not valuing your stock at where you want, it's probably because you're wrong. I'm just saying. So, words to ponder as we head into this weekend, and that is where the MMTL people went wrong. They had lofty expectations of the valuation of their company. I tried to tell them that if it was truly worth that, the market would have already bid it up.
If there were actually people willing to buy out MMTLP like a Shell or an Exxon Mobil, that it would have already reflected that.
It hurts my heart. It hurts me because I had good viewers, good subscribers, people I cared about that got angry at me for trying to tell them to take the fucking money. And now they're all in pain, and I see them on the calls every day, and I'm just like, I had to block a lot of them. I mean, they got so hateful towards me. Mm-hmm. But, water under the bridge. There's nothing I can do about it now. In the moment, I tried.
Help the people that want to be helped.
Yeah, in the moment, I tried. And I had people that wrote me and said, thank God I listened to you.
Yeah.
And I will always tell you guys that on every ticker, GameStop, AMC, MMTLP, pick it. In a run-up, fucking take the money. fucking take the money. You can have brackets if you want to have brackets and you want to have your just in case bracket. I say God bless you. That's cool with me.
Have a moving stop loss and a moving cash out point where it's based on percentage basis day to day. You can set that up with your broker anytime and get out while you can.
Part of the reason that I'm doing the GameStop series now is my just absolute anger at the dipshits on YouTube who told people not to sell into the run up to $80 in the past couple of weeks after, stringing people along for 3 years and then telling them not to sell.
And even if they didn't get the top at $80, there was still like the day after plenty of opportunity to get out ahead for a lot of people.
I get the, wanting to hold shares for a moonshot. I get it. I mean, I lived
That
through
was your moonshot.
I lived through all of this in AMC in June of 2021. And guess what I did? I fucking sold my call options. And I had shares that I, didn't really matter. I had bought them super cheap. But I made a lot of money on call options. And I've told this story. Yeah, I took some of that money and I stupidly bought shares as it came down. I was like, oh, $30-$40. Maybe we'll get the second squeeze like GameStop. Yeah, I took a little bit of bath on those, but it's okay. It's okay because I was never going to be red on AMC no matter what happened. Because why? Because I was willing to sell. As Matt and Trey were telling people to buy calls as it was pushing 40, 50, 60, 70, I was ringing the cash register.
I can't name the plays where I came to the conclusion after a while that my thesis was not going to play out. The company wasn't doing what I was doing. The price wasn't doing what I was doing. And it was best to preserve my assets for a future play and get the fuck out.
Do I feel bad sometimes if I exit a play in a profit and it still keeps running? Yeah, I feel bad.
Yeah.
Sometimes. But I will never forget being up on a play, not selling, and then it drops all the way back down.
Oof.
That hurts way worse.
Yeah. It's like that time at the poker table when you get a bad beat and it just fucking eats you up inside. You'll remember that for the rest of the week.
Now I'm gonna pray for the GameStop people that they have another rally in June. But if they don't, I mean, some of these YouTubers are gonna have another 3 years potentially of having to explain to people why they need to keep holding this stock, and that there was a fantastic opportunity. And maybe there'll be another one. But I hope you guys are, some of y'all are listening to this channel and thinking about, how do I protect my portfolio? How do I protect myself, my family? And if I truly love this stock, there's nothing wrong with taking some gains off the table.
You can always buy back at any
and
time.
Buy back in when it comes down.
Yeah.
Buy back in when it comes down. And how do you know when it's going to come back down? Because you understand what fundamental value is. The entire point of what we're doing yesterday, today, the next one, helping you guys understand what is true fundamental value. Because I guarantee you are not getting it from anybody in the GameStop community right now.
Unplug from the cult. Start thinking for yourself.
And I've been brutally honest in the AMC community, and that's why my channel stagnated for a long time. But after a while of losing money or standing in place, people start realizing, you know what, this guy over here that changed his strategy actually starting to make a lot of sense. So I'm happy to see some of y'all making money again, some of y'all repairing your portfolio, repairing your position. And that is what I'm here for. If you're stuck, join the Discord or just listen in, ask questions. You don't have to join the Discord. We're always here. Not always. I'm here as often as I can be on the live streams, and I'd love to help you guys with your questions. But I am in the Discord, 15 hours a day, 6-7 days a week. So.
What just came off of my head right now, since I'm like 2 drinks in and we're getting ready to wrap up, maybe one of these times we need to get together and have like a book club where we find financial books that we like, and we just
I've got a stack of them right there.
Yeah.
Including some that just freshly came in.
Mhm.
And I have people ask me like, Tony, what are you reading? And I keep on saying I'm going to publish a list. I've got a whole bookshelf over there of stuff.
I maybe I need to just
accumulated.
post my Amazon.com wish list, because it's just my reading list, books upon books upon books that I every time I get my my Audible one free book a month, I grab another book, and it's like I have a backlog of like 15 books. Jesus,
There's
I need to
always
start
something.
reading more of these.
There's always something to learn, and
Yeah.
I just, my hardest problem right now is just finding the free time to sit down with a book.
Mhm.
I should probably just
I'm lucky enough that I
schedule
get
that
like
into
these
my day.
audio books, and my job allows me. I'm driving a lot, so I just kind of listen, and I get the opportunity to drive along and just kind of keep going and keep learning and keep studying.
Well,
Because that's the way you become a better investor.
Yeah, I'm jealous that you have the time to do that. I'm jealous you have time to do that. It's surprisingly correct for somebody like me that doesn't have a job. I never seem to have any free time.
Well, like keeping the grind going is a job in and of itself.
I'm just teasing, my haters keep on trying to say, oh, he doesn't even have a job.
Well,
Guys,
hey, look
I
at it
worked
this way.
I worked the
You have,
corporate life 80 hours a week for 15
yeah.
years, and I'm enjoying my retirement. I have multiple businesses of my own, which I'd run from home,
Hey, you
on top
aren't.
of YouTube and trading. So if
Yeah,
you
you
think
got
I'm not fucking busy, you can fuck off.
you got your own business, you got YouTube, you do trading on the side. At least you aren't a full-time activist. I read that as unemployed.
Oh, don't forget about my gardening YouTube channel also.
Yeah. I might have to clue my mom in on that. She likes doing gardening on the side.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. We love you. I will. We're 1 hour into a 3-hour live stream from Keith Gill. I will kind of listen to the rest of this tomorrow and see if we need to, if we can glean anything worthwhile out of listening to the rest of this. But I want to move through, a couple weeks or a couple months at a time till we get to that point where he's pre-celebrating the $65 price in January. And I saw a title video that I want to get to next, where he was talking about the short interest is at 140%. So hopefully y'all, learn something tonight. If not, maybe we entertained you a little bit. And leave me your comments. If you're watching this on replay, let me know if you hate it, if you love it, if you want to see more like this. The whole intent, again, is to understand the mind of a value investor, which is how I view GameStop. I'm bullish on GameStop, more bullish than I've ever been with the $2 billion on the balance sheet. But I'm still going to be that asshole that wants a good entry on the price.
Mm-hmm.
What were you going to say, Corex? Especially
a deep value investor. Like, that's the thing that I think people keep forgetting, is that Keith Gill openly admitted a lot that this is a highly risky play. Like he said, 10% there could be some sort of upside or anything. He's always cognizant of the risk he's taking, and I think more people should pay attention.
If you want to understand me and not hate me, just know that I hate overpaying for any stock. So it's not, if I talk about any stock and I'm not telling you that I'm buying it right now, not that I hate your stock. I'm just not willing to buy it at that price.
Yeah.
Every company has a price I'd be willing to buy it at. So get in my mindset, and you might not hate me so much, and maybe you learn something along the way. Maybe there's a middle ground. At some point, we'll all be rowing in the same direction. I guarantee you that. Fair enough?
Sounds good.
And if you want to hear the bear thesis, just check in with Corax. Thank you for your time, amigo. I'm going to run the outro, and I'm not going to hang around for any after chat. So
that's okay. I'm going to go play Advanced Wars by Web.
I'll try and stop in on your live stream tomorrow night. Give them your channel name for anyone that
Noisy Corax on YouTube, Sunny Corax on Twitter. I do use Restream like Tony does, so if you are more of a Twitter person, you can totally catch me on there. If you're more of a YouTube person, you can totally catch me on there. You won't miss a single beat. I guarantee it.
Take care, amigo. Have a good weekend. We'll see you mañana.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go. Yo, I'm like an addict, do I gotta have it. I ain't even playing, got a really bad habit. If it moves, gotta grab it, fuse like a magnet. Lose, won't have it till I'm doomed in a casket. I ain't playing, got a weird mind. If you work 8 hours, I'ma work 9. If the shit tastes sour, you should taste mine. I'ma stay in power for a long time. Get up, nah, I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big picture, I'm a straight killer. Rising the song to the highest bidder. Got juice, got gas, I'ma move fast. New shoes, new tracks, like who's that? I'm new, come back, better than last. Yeah, it's a new me, never gonna look back. Never gonna look back. Cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast.